Game.
Hi.
Hi.
How are you?
I'm good. I'm sad your background's blurry. Go show me your house.
Oh my God. I will FaceTime after this. My video is my office is just like a hot mess.
Yeah, because you just moved.
Hot mess.
Yes.
So this is the first time I've actually blurred my background. They've all seen it. I don't know why I'm doing it right now, but I feel like I should be professional sometimes. You know what I mean?
Just a little bit.
Teensy tiny.
Not too much though, because it freaks everybody out.
It's true. It's true. Yeah. I have to still be me at the end of the day.
Okay, also, so how did the move go?
Well, how did the move go? You know what? It's been great. And then it's also been an absolute shit show. Like, right now we're going to probably, hopefully not, but maybe hear a bunch of whacking and banging and cutting down in the basement because, we have had 2 to 3 floods. We have had to pull up the entire, floor. We had to rip out a bunch of the wall because it turns out the sewage line was pitched at the wrong angle for a minute.
Okay.
We have had to, there's a metric fuck ton that we didn't expect. And it's fine. Happens. Yeah. It's fine. It's not worth suing the old owners over just because that's always basically impossible and takes years and costs more in lawyers than you actually get in damages. So it's fine.
But if you saw them in the street, would you run them over a little?
I would maybe punch something.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Yeah. So I feel like we're just not settled because we just keep on having to move things into different places so that we can.
You're camping. You're camping in the new house.
Yes. Yeah.
So no, I get it.
It's fine. But could be better.
Yeah, it could be, but it's going to be because now it just gets better from here.
And a bunch of the house is adorable and it's cute colors that I want. And, part of the reason my office is messed up is because I've invested in an actual recording booth that's going to be here hopefully in a few weeks.
Oh, okay.
So, good shit is going to happen, but it's been a mess and I've been not quite human as a result. Does that track?
I can understand that.
Yeah.
No, I mean, that tracks a little bit. Yeah.
I know. So
do the kids like the new space though?
They do.
Yeah. Because it's bigger, right?
It's slightly bigger. It's not that much bigger. It's 200 square feet bigger, but it's on such a quiet street and we have a giant backyard and it's one of those places where the kids will run out the front door and I don't freak the fuck out.
Right.
Like I did at our old house because it was just so urban, there were cars whizzing by constantly.
Oh no, that was a busy street. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's really nice because they can sort of be kids and I don't want to die when they go outside. So that's really great. Really, really great.
Handy. Yes.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, I moved in with Sarah.
Yeah.
So Sarah and I are now roomies. And by roomies, I mean, I moved into her house that she owns.
Totally.
Yeah. Which is not for real roomies, but you get it. And it is hysterical because all we do is realize that people assume we're lesbians. So that is a constant.
I don't hate it.
Well, it's not
I don't hate it.
We're not correcting anyone because it's stupid and who cares?
Right.
And, whatever. But what I want to explain is how do you think I would act if I bagged a doctor with tenure? Because it's not being quiet about it.
Right. Absolutely. Shout that shit from the rooftops.
Every day.
PDAs.
Yes, is what I'm saying. It would be instead of Tanya Mel on Twitter, Taylor's version, it would be Tanya Mel parentheses, I'm banging a doctor with tenure. That's
right.
It would immediately be that.
Absolutely.
So the people on the block whose small dog we rescued when they got out. Yeah.
Aww.
They think we're lesbians. All over the place. We're just going with it. Also, my car is so bad in comparison to her car. I wonder what they think our relationship is.
Oh yeah, like if you're being punished.
Right. Like,
what did you do, Tanya?
Right. I don't know. Did I trash the nicer car? Am Probably. I like driving the, beat up? Like, it's just that thing of, I'm like, if we're in a relationship and everybody's assuming that, or in that kind of relationship, we are in a relationship. But like, if we were doing it, I would assume I would have a car that was slightly more equal to my partner's.
A little bit.
Yes. As opposed to the shit show that I drive. The 1999 Camry LE.
Are you for real? I love it.
Oh,
I didn't know
Dan's
it was
car.
Last century's car.
Dan's car. I bought Dan's car.
God, I love it.
The one that he bought in 1999.
Incredible.
That's the one last century. Do you realize that all of my students last year were younger than my car?
Oh, wow.
My college students.
That's very true. Oh my God.
Yeah.
I love it.
That's where we're at.
I love it. But everything else is good with school and everything?
Yeah, I'm writing my pre-pro. I'm writing my pre-pro this summer. Mm-hmm. So that's pre-prospectus.
Okay.
Then I get that approved. Then I do the prospectus. Then I do comprehensive exams. Then I write a dissertation. And then I make you bitches call me doctor.
And then I call you Dr. T all the time.
And I'm going to want it. People act really stupid. They're like, oh, I would never. I'm like, everybody's going to do it.
No. Yeah. I'm also going to get you one of those blazers that has elbow patches.
Yes. I'm going to change my Costco card. I want my Costco card to say
Dr. Tanya Melendez.
Yes. Yeah. And I want a free chicken once a month. Like, congratulations, chicken.
They've got extras. They may as well.
It's a loss leader. Loss leader. So I should be allowed.
It is.
Yeah.
Oh my God. All right. Are you stoked to talk about this book?
I love this book.
I love this book.
I love this book
so much. Book is so good.
And it's so funny because it's such like, it's all the tropes.
Yeah.
I've read the plot of this book a million times. Those beats.
Yes.
Very, very familiar.
Yes.
So perfectly executed.
Oh,
it's dumb.
Start to fucking finish.
I love them. I love them.
I love them so much.
Before we start, can we talk about noses for a second?
Yes, because I don't understand. Please. Can you educate me on this or something? Because like everybody thinks he's like a hideous horseman. But like, she's like, no, he's fucking hot. Everybody's stupid. Get in my pants.
Okay. So the big nose issue, like the kid issue is different from the adult issue.
Oh,
right. So like, we'll get to the kid stuff. The way this woman describes this child is hilarious.
Yeah.
But the adult issue. So like, that one of my biggest celebrity issues, I don't even call it a crush anymore.
No,
it's an issue.
No, it's a whole,
is in fact,
it's a state of life.
Is Josh Charles.
That's right. Man's got a beak.
Famously. Yes.
He does.
He famously has a beak.
Yeah.
Right. I don't think he's of Italian descent or, Roman nose.
So it's not a Florentine nose.
Right. But it is a large honker. And I immediately fell in love with that honker when I was 15 years old. So I walked in to Captain, my captain. Dead Poet Society.
Oh, yeah.
Yes. I walked into Dead Poet Society, one person, and I walked out a different person who was
just
in love
like
with
when
Josh
you
Charles.
watched Purple Rain.
Yeah. Well, that kickstarted my puberty.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's really
two different people.
Yeah. That's a different thing. Like Prince started my period. Like it was like kaboom. But this was straight up. Like this wasn't even lust. This was love. That's the difference.
Deep, undying love.
Yes. And it was partly because of the nose. So I definitely was already in love with this dude from moment one. From moment one. Yes. And that is partially because of noses.
So I feel like part of it is just like, I think one thing that she really captured is like, I don't know if it's like true or not, but in British gentry media, right? All of it's like, oh, he's so good looking because he does look so English. And you're like, no, he's got some super fucked up teeth. And like, what is going on with his jaw? And like, does he
and
have
the
hair?
Neck? It's always such a really long neck.
Adam's apple or whatever.
A prominent. It's a prominent.
Yes. And
she's
like
a
the
handsome
English
woman.
Roses or whatever, right? And so I feel like part of it is just because he looks a tiny bit Italian instead of coming out like his father or whatever. But who
I bet was hideous.
Oh God, he was such a monster outside and in.
Exactly.
But like she describes this child as if he's like a circus performer that's been like deep under the earth for a very long time and like might have more limbs than one thinks a humanoid should.
What I pictured was that if you took Adrian Brody, the adult, and then just squished him down and then merged him with a troll whose riddles 3 you have to solve to cross his bridge.
That's right.
That is what I pictured. He did not get described as having a humpback, but it was there, right? Close. The subtext was humpback.
Very close. Yeah.
Yeah. So this poor kid,
this poor child, just, oh my God, broke my heart.
I love it when I read a historical and we get yet another unwanted lesson into Victorian parenting values.
Indeed. Well, and I mean, listen, I love a damaged man. And when the book comes out swinging with a prologue that is just like, here is all his trauma, started at birth, never changed, only got worse. Like,
yeah, I mean, it's generational trauma, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yes, but back in the day, the name for that was Mama Done Run Off.
Oh yeah,
with her West Indians lover.
Yeah. Yeah, so he's got this like old ass abusive dad whose like first wife did die somehow, and so all
the kids. It was typhoid.
Oh, that's right. I forgot there were other kids. Okay, so he's got some,
and he liked those.
Yeah,
he liked those kids. He said that he liked those.
Right,
kids.
He liked those kids. He did have a fine time with that wife. Like she understood that a good woman lays back and thinks of England. And that is how sex should happen. That she was the proper kind of wife. Okay.
When I lay back and think of Tom Hardy, is that the same because he's British?
It's not at all, because that does get one wet.
Yes.
Yeah. No, he liked them bone dry. He liked them bone dry, this guy. Okay. Helped with his friction. So he could come faster. Vagina. That's the one. Yeah, he liked it like that. So then he's like, am a broke Marcus or whatever, Marquess. And so I'm going to get myself a hot Italian rich lady who's young and fertile and hot and understands the beauty of sensuality and sexuality. Listen, dude, if that's not what you wanted, don't marry her. I don't understand.
Well, and they also did apparently the thing where when they were courting, she was sweet and quiet and timid
and demure.
Right. And then he dragged her to an English climate and she immediately rebelled, which who's
understandable. Right. Yeah. Completely understandable. He took her from everything she knew. He put her in cold ass, wet ass, proper ass England. And she promptly turned into Mount Vesuvius. I get it.
Yeah. And she probably then realized he was bad at sex.
Oh my God.
So
she thought to herself in her beautiful young brain, she was like, oh, he's older. He knows what he's about. He has seen so many clitori. He knows what he's doing. And then she got there and boy, did he disappoint.
And so, of course, he disappointed her. And of course, she flipped the F out. So, but she did get knocked up.
Yeah.
She did her duty.
That's right.
She produced a son. And the son is described.
Oh my God, please read it. Please read it.
His heir was a wizened olive thing with large black eyes, ill-proportioned limbed, and a grossly oversized nose.
Grossly.
It howled. This is not the first time a child referred to as it.
Yeah, all over the place. And frankly, I loved it. Not gonna lie. It was a whole mood.
Well, you can't show an emotional journey until you start referring to the child as a child. So it's that leap from it to him that really, it becomes symbolic.
It's illustrative, if you will.
That's a fancy word for it did the thing.
Thanks.
It thinks it doesn't. But he can't deny that it's his because it's got the same birthmark.
Yep.
Did you think the birthmark was going to come back up again, though?
I did. It was so specific. It was like an archery thing.
I'm wondering if it's in the other books.
Maybe. Oh, I didn't think about it. Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, that somewhere down the line, there's another birthmark because it was a very intentional drop.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So then he's like, so she then fucks off. She absconds. She promptly finds a lover and he does take her on a ship as far away as she can possibly go. And this absolute monster just tells the kid, like, your mom's dead. She's a whore. She did leave and she's going to burn in hell forever. Go read some Latin. I never want to see you again. And understandably, this poor child, he's 8. Isn't he 8?
Yeah, he's about 8 years old.
She's a baby. Ugh.
Yeah, and he's not really at the point where he can understand biblical symbolism.
No.
So when you tell an 8-year-old that their mother is going to go to hell and get torn apart by dogs for being a Jezebel,
that's the one.
He might think that's literal.
Yeah. Yeah. And so he does howl again. Okay. And again, I relate. So the only person who's nice to him is the cook. And she finally, brings him to her bosom and is like, it's going to be okay. But then he gets packed off to Eton as soon as possible so that his dad doesn't have to deal with him anymore. And then those boys are super mean to him because he has a giant Italian nose, I guess, ? And then they try to put him in a privy, but his big burly shoulders won't fit because he's already.
Yeah, they stick his head in the toilet.
That's the one. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then they
torture him. They are beating the crap out of him all the time. And he is just throwing it back in their faces. This is the kid. This kid is half of their size. Yeah. Looks completely different. Yeah. Apparently has a nose that one can only describe as Toucan Sam goes to London. Right. And so that he's getting tortured by his classmates. And this continues for a year.
Uh-huh.
And of course, I don't think that they would solve it now at Eton, let alone back then.
No, but they could smell the fact that nobody was going to defend him. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
There was a miasma of abandonment around this poor kid. Mm-hmm. So anyway, finally, he does beat the tar out of somebody and gain their respect or whatever. And then he manages to become their funny, ugly friend who's mean to everyone. And then, he does do the bullying to other people so that he can stay on the top of the social hierarchy and all the business. And then when he's 13. Yeah. Okay.
So the obvious birthday present for a 13-year-old.
I mean, it's in one of those, what's it? The etiquette books, right?
Etiquette guides. Yes.
That's the one.
Right after the chapter on the language of flowers. It's right after that. Right. And then you turn the page and it says proper gifts for a 13-year-old. Mm-hmm. Hookers.
One busty sex worker.
Well, and that's the thing, right? Like they call them tarts, which it's like, I'm glad that they're not, and trollops. I'm glad that we got to skip the years of like other terminology, right? Like hooker, like, you know, that we get to skip, because that's when it sounds actually like, I feel like we had tart and trollop and a couple of other Cyprianic. I can't remember.
Oh, yeah.
And then you get like 300 years of really awful language, and then you get to sex workers. So it's
completely. Yeah.
So we're in the tart times.
Yeah. And that's charming. Sorry.
It is.
I'm going to say it.
Tart.
It's charming. I am a tart, I think. I'm certainly a trollop.
Oh, I mean, Avi.
Come on.
Yeah. You've been a trollop since like 08.
It's the one. Yeah, roughly. So they think so. Okay. So then she looks at him and she's like, that's the most disgusting thing I've ever seen in my life. I'm not letting him touch me. And he's like, I'll pay you 3 times what you asked for, I guess. And she's like, you can touch me. And it's sad town. It doesn't do great.
It does. No, because he learns the lesson is that he's going to be rejected. The only path is money.
Yeah.
Money will get him the relationships he can buy. It won't get him what he wants, but it'll get him the relationships he can buy, and he can trust in that. And
and he does
is
manage
what he learned.
He almost manages to convince himself that the relationships he can buy are the only relationships he wants.
Yes.
But like we all know that's super not true. Yes. Super not true.
But you know, it's she's coming, but not yet. But it's like, I do appreciate that he now gets to tie that feeling about sex and money together, because that's going to form a well-adjusted adult.
Absolutely. Oh my gosh. He's just going to be so mature and so elevated amongst his peers, you know?
Yes.
So the one thing but hold on. Can we talk?
Before we get there, can we talk about how British aristocracy rebel for a second?
Mm-hmm.
Because there's a whole plot point where his dad sends him like the first letter he's gotten his whole life, basically. And it's all, I already arranged that you're going to go to Cambridge.
That's the one. Yeah.
Yeah. And he is like, fuck you. I will take this money I intended to buy a racehorse with that I have been making through gambling. And I will go to the traditional place that our family goes, which is Oxford.
That's right.
And I read this paragraph, deeply amused. This is how the British aristocracy rebel and fight.
Uh-huh.
You are not going to go to Cambridge. You're going to go to Oxford. That'll show them.
Well, first of all, like, he's like, sure, I sent you to Eton, but I am not spending my money to send that nose to Oxford. That's for darn sure. And then he was like, oh, fuck you. I don't need you. I'll go to Oxford all by my damn self. And then, you know, he did make it happen. But that's another one of the things, like, he looks at money as not only a way to get him the sort of like, you know, physical, the physical touch and other physical, like, you know, trappings of a good life, but it's also a way to be like, I showed you, Dad. Wow. Like, his dad, on the other hand, has just like let the whole estate go to seed. And he's like, I'm going to leave this motherfucker with pennies. I'm going to leave him so in debt because he sucks. And he's half Italian and stuff by my design, this weird man. And then he's just like, no, I'm going to turn this family and this whole legacy or whatever into the richest, most successfulest ever, Dad. That's how I'm doing it these days. And the whole thing was so many layers of hilarious to me.
Yeah.
In like the trauma way, you know?
Right. In the emotional trauma, but literally hilarious way.
Yeah.
I just want a moment in my life to come where I look at someone and say, all right, you know what I'm going to do? I'm just not going to buy that racehorse.
Yeah.
And then I'm going to do the thing you don't want me to do because fuck you. I need that in my life. I need that moment.
I guess I'm going to put off my dreams of owning a racehorse for 2 to 3 years. Okay. Yes. And I'm going to do that to show you.
I want to spend millions on an animal whose legs are so fragile.
Oh my God, they're so fragile.
Little toothpicks. I need 2,000 pounds on 4 toothpicks that also needs to get fed every day. Like, that's really, those are my financial goals. Like, you know, when like the commercials for like financial places, where they say, what are your goals? Yeah. I would like a ton of horse on 4 toothpicks. Please.
That's what I want. Give it to me.
What would you name a racehorse?
Sassafras, I think. That's the first thing that came into my mind. Sassafras.
I don't hate that. Sassafras is good.
What would you name a
very good. Idiosyncratic.
Ooh, I like
Listen,
that.
I think the key is how does it sound when they're announcing it? And I want to cram as many syllables in there to make those poor announcers crazy.
Most definitely. Idiosyncratic is great.
Yeah, idiosyncratic and sassafras.
Yeah.
Let's go racing.
They're gonna tie every time because they're both so good.
And they're friends.
And they're pals.
They are. They like to be next to each other.
It's true. Oh, okay. So, all right. Okay. So now we have to go into now times. Now times. Yes.
It's Les Mis times. It's Les Mis times.
It is Les Mis times. Yeah. It's like, well, it's post Les Mis times, but yes.
1820s.
Right? Yeah. Yeah, you're right.
It's around the time. Yeah, we're not going to see the gross people though.
No, like there's not a gross person in sight. Nobody is singing One Day More.
No, we're on the other side of Paris.
All over this.
The other side of Paris.
So, okay, so we're in Paris and Bertie Trent has done fucked up all over the place. Bertie Trent is this dumb ass gentleman who, and I mean dumb. Like I don't say that in a pejorative way. It is merely descriptive.
I'm saying it pejoratively. He's dumb.
Well, I mean, it works both ways. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So it's an accurate insult is what you're saying.
It is. So his sister has to come and save the day because he is very, very quickly swirling down the toilet of financial and social ruin before they even had toilets, everyone. Okay, this is a feat. Yeah. So she's there. Her name is Jessica. And she's like, Bertie, you gotta stop fucking around with the Marquis of Dane. Okay?
Okay. Is it Marquis?
I don't know, Tanya. I never know. Marcus.
Neither do I.
I think it's Marquis simply because the English were like, we're going to take your titles and then we're going to fuck with them until they're super English.
Okay, well, let's say it in a British accent. The Marquis. That's
the Marquis of Dane.
Marquis. You're not even doing an accent. You just like to go whoop, whoop.
It's true. It's true.
It's that your whole body moves. That's what it is. Like you just, it's all.
Oh yeah, there's eyebrow stuff that happens. Listen, it's very intricate over here.
Whereas my problem is when I do British, I immediately go Cockney. I'm like, hello, governor.
Hello, governor. Cheese on toast. Yeah.
Yes. Bit cheerio. Okay. The Marquis. Like I'm always the kid in Phantom of the Opera that runs in, the little Cockney fucker that runs in is like, Christine Daae will do it, sir. That's always me every time. Okay, so remember that by the way, Bertie's servant, his manservant, is who ratted him out to Jessica.
Oh, yeah, Withers. Withers is like she's the only competent person that's in the family. Yep. She can shoot. She knows monies. She's super smart. I love her so much, and she has to save us all.
Yes, and she's the only female in the family.
Yes.
So there's Grandma Genevieve and Jessica who show up to Paris, and she has handled all of her brothers, all of her cousins who are all male. Everybody in that generation is male except for her. So now here she is, 27 years old, and she is gorgeous, of course.
Of course.
Totally gorgeous.
Totally gorgeous. But also completely and utterly over all men. She's just like, I found out at a very young age that the secret to happiness is never, ever chaining yourself to a fucking man, because she had to deal with all of her relatives. And it's really funny to me. I love it.
Well, this is like when someone has a lot of siblings and they're the oldest and they're like, I'm good. No kids. Thank you. Right. Mm-hmm. Like they're like, I got my fill.
Yeah.
Sometimes that's just the natural reaction.
It is.
To having been a caregiver.
Absolutely. My reaction was different, but similar. And it was, I'm going to be so careful and petrified of getting pregnant until I feel like I have everything just in a row and set and ready. And then even then I could probably wait a year, but I do want kids. I just don't want them when I'm like, I understand what it means in a way that a lot completely. Of people don't.
It is amazing to me how people do not realize that you just are not going to sleep for 6 years.
Yeah.
That's it. Like that's the whole game.
Oh my God. Oh my God.
Yeah. Just picture your most hungover day and then ever as a 20 something and then picture a baby demanding things.
Oh yeah.
While that's happening. That is what motherhood it looks. And I am not a mother on purpose because I was like, I'm not doing this until I think I'm ready. And then I was like, turns out not ready. No. So but that's okay. You had 2 for me. So
I did. And they love you.
And that's because Aunt Tanya is a really good aunt. Like I love babies. I love babies. And I want to see all the videos and pictures all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Okay, sorry.
So anybody can bring me babies. That's the point. Always bring them to me.
So she's like, I'm not getting married, but she and her grandmother are very, very close. And her grandmother has always been described as a femme fatale, as the audiobook put it, which I really loved.
Yes.
And basically she's got a magic pussy and Jessica has inherited that. She just doesn't sling it around, you know?
Yes. Yeah.
So she's like, Bertie, you got to stop fucking up because you're spending all of our money and I'm going to go into trade. Okay. And he's like, my sister will not go into trade.
This bitch is eBay. She is eBay.
She wants to be eBay so bad.
She is an authorized Amazon reseller.
That's the one.
She is the French Facebook marketplace. She is on her game. She looks at something in a shop. She figures out that it can be resold for a much higher value. She has been doing like London Picker, Attic Show, all of it. And she's been doing that to fund Bertie's bullshit.
Yeah. Honestly.
And all she wants is her own shop.
Right. And so she's like, I don't know how you're going to fucking stop me, first of all, because I am so much more competent on every level than you are. And like, how do you expect us to just be like lazy gentry when we don't have any money anymore, Bertie? Because you've drunk and gambled it all away.
Yep.
And he's a dummy. And so she's like trying to figure out a way to get him away from this Marquis of Dane. So the next scene we see is them going into Champtois thrift store, basically.
Yes, ye old Champtois
thrift store. And the Marquis of Dane is there. Seriously, though. So Bertie's like, oh, Chip Cheerio. Oh, look who I found over here. And it talks all the time. Yeah. It's all the time talking about how he can be like, he thinks his conspiratorial whisper is really low when actually you can hear it like across a rugby field, which I find so funny and familiar.
Yeah. I was going to say, you and I are both well known for thinking we're whispering.
Oh boy. Really just
and we are not
announcing things to the room is what we're doing.
Hold on. Okay.
Okay. You cough. So, all right. So the Marquis of Dane is there and he meets Jessica in this moment. And he does so because he's like, oh, Bertie, like, don't do silly things like try to count. Bertie, like you can't you can't come into a shop like this. And Bertie's even saying that. He's like, oh, I just, you have to think about what's half and what's double and what's blur, blur, blur. And then he's like, he thinks that she is his like trollop of the day or something. And so he's like, oh, are you in here getting a gift for your lady over there?
Oh, hold on. No, he cannot yet see Jessica.
No, he can't.
She's in some sort of overcoat kind of situation and her head's got right and
big bonnet,
lots of stuff
flouncy
all over her.
Yeah.
And, and she's bent over cases. She's starting to look at stuff. So he does not see her as he starts this conversation being like, oh, you're buying your bit of fluff, a little something, something.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Yes.
And so actually I loved this this exchange.
Mm-hmm. No, I know where you're at.
Because
it's also highlighted.
Yeah. And so he's like, I recommend that you resist the temptation to count if you're contemplating a gift for your chère amie or something. and and he's like, women deal in a higher mathematical realm than men, especially when it comes to gifts. And she goes, that, Bertie, is a consequence of the feminine brain having reached a more advanced state of development. She said, the female without looking up. She recognizes that the selection of a gift requires the balancing of a profoundly complicated moral, psychological, aesthetic, and sentimental equation. I should not recommend that a mere male attempt to involve himself in the delicate process of balancing it, especially by the primitive method of counting. And then it says, for one unsettling moment, it seemed to Lord Dane that someone had just shoved his head into a privy. He's like, oh no, he's like breaking out and he's like clammy and he's like, oh God, that's so hot. What's happening? It's sexy over there. Oh no.
Yeah.
It's very surprising. Sexy.
His world has been turned upside down once again, just from her being smart. Not from her being hot yet.
No.
Just from her being smart.
But then she does turn around because he asks to be introduced. And he's like, yeah, that's my terrible sister who's terrible. And she will just like cut you down verbally as soon as she can. So then they're chatting. And he's like, well, I think it's your turn to talk. Like, aren't you going to talk about the weather or another like acceptable way to start a conversation? And she's like, your eyes are so very black. Like, I feel like they're a deep shade of brown, but wow, they are just dark and stormy and deep and stuff. And he's like, okay.
Stunned. Yeah. The woman was too stunned to speak. He could not take it.
No.
He describes it as a quick stabbing sensation in the environments of his diaphragm or his belly. He couldn't tell.
He couldn't tell. And he's like, my breakfast must have disagreed with me, all that pickled herring or whatever the British eat. That's gross. So
breakfast herring can be delightful.
I'm sure.
No, I can't even sell it. No, it's not.
No, it's not for this
fish.
guy.
That's the wrong fish for breakfast. That's nasty.
Okay,
so he, by the way, self-describes as Lord Beelzebub, by the way. Yes. Like, he has picked up the childhood nicknames and he has leaned all the way in and he's like, I don't know what the hell's going on inside of my person right now, but I am Lord Beelzebub and I will not be dealing with this. She is just a lady. I can handle my shit. And he cannot handle his shit.
He can't.
Spoiler.
Yeah.
He cannot handle his shit.
From start to finish, cannot handle it.
Yeah.
He's
done.
Yeah.
He's already done. He doesn't even know he's already done.
Yeah. So he tries to be like condescending and like shock her about a watch that she's looking at because she wants to get her grandmother Genevieve a watch for her birthday. And he's like, oh, well, if you look at it closely, if you turn you wind the this and peel back the that, the dress of the lady opens up and there is a man performing cunnilingus under there. And she's like, oh, yes, absolutely. And it looks like it's scratched over here and like blah, 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 blah. And he's like, this woman knew exactly what it was the whole time.
She also refers to it as a lover's service. Which I'm like, that is an excellent way to explain the obligation of said act. I like that.
I like it a lot. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then she sees like another little painting and she's like, whoa, I think I need this painting. The lady looks like maybe she's happy, maybe she's sad on it. I don't know. And he's like, that has mold all over it and it's gross and dirty and like, why? And she's like, well, then I'll get it for like a quarter of the price, the asking price is what I'm going to do over here. Mm-hmm. And so she talks like legendary champtois down. And he's like, Lord Dane thinks to himself, if it had been one moment more, like Champtois would have been paying her just to take it and leave.
I mean,
and he's very impressed.
Did it make me desperately miss going to Chinatown? For purses? Yes. Yeah. Yes. That's what it made me, because it was a hard bargain scene. And I love a bargain. I love negotiating. Yeah. So yeah.
Do you remember when we got my baby stealing purse for like $7?
Yeah.
Incredible stuff.
Okay. The trick, I'm going to tell listener the trick.
Oh my gosh. Bing, boom, bong.
So
money saving with Tanya.
When you go to Chinatown in New York, or assume any other Chinatown situation in large cities where they do outdoor stalls, basically indoor outdoor stalls of purses, bags, etc. The key is, don't walk in there until you see a gaggle of tourists. Mm-hmm. Right? Like, you want to walk into one place where they're dealing with a bunch of obvious tourists. And then you want to look at the person and pick up a bag and go, I want this one. And they'll say something like $60. And then you say, no, let's do 30. And the moment they realize that you are going to bargain, they want you to shut the hell up.
They need you to leave.
They do not like all those tourists hearing that they can bargain. Mm-hmm. So they are more likely to give in very, very quickly if you do that. So always enter those stores attached to a pack of women who seem to be from a large suburban part
Iowa.
Of a large city. Yes.
Yeah.
The Des Moines suburb contingent.
Indeed.
Is who you want to follow into that store.
Yep.
There you go. There's your tip. There's shopping for a bargain with Tom.
Okay, so he's beside himself. He doesn't know what to do. And they end up like parting ways or whatever. And then fast forward, she finds out that this thing is like worth actual money. She has it appraised, and Lefebvre does appraise it. Lefebvre does appraise it for so many monies. And she's like, Bertie, don't tell anyone. Like, Bertie, I'm going to go put it in a safe deposit box and like, you're going to shut the fuck up. And he's like, no, I'm not. I'm a bumbling fool. Yes. So he goes and immediately finds Lord Dane. And he's like,
and all of his friends and all of his shitty friends. Right. Ugh. So there's like this pack that he's in charge of. So Dane's running with this pack of, useless nobility.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, completely.
Like just
useless reprobates who are at the upper crust of society.
Yes, just like I don't even know what is the modern equivalent. Like, is it
Boat
Leo's? No, it's Leo DiCaprio's Pussy Posse.
That's what it is. Yeah.
Yes, that is what this is.
Yeah,
and he is a supposed to be hideous Leo.
Right.
Yeah.
And there we go. And neither of them are accurate.
Yes.
And that's not
accurate. Bertie is the sad little dumb one. He's like the Casey Affleck. So
it's so true.
So he runs right back and he tries to impress them by being like, that picture my sister got is actually worth thousands upon thousands of pounds. Whatever monies. Pounds?
Yeah.
We're in pounds.
We're pounding. Yeah.
So
then he's like, and I want you to be able to get a look at it, because Dane is like he famously loves to collect like art and beautiful curiosities and all the things. And so he's like, I mean, I'd like my friend to get the first stab at it, really, if I possibly can. So then they meet at a coffee shop and she's like, God bless a fucking America. Why did Bertie do this to me? Now I have to deal with Dane.
Okay, but we have to go back. I'm so sorry.
But
there's actually a plot point. There's a plot point.
Tell me everything.
After he hears about this, he's really pissed, and he's with his pussy posse, and he's, with a sex worker, and he's like, let's go bang it out. And the sex worker takes him upstairs, and he is like, something's off. And then he finds a peephole And on the other side of that peephole is, in fact, one of his supposed friends.
A fella called Lord Beaumont.
Little Beaumont. And Lord Beaumont is apparently getting his jollies by secretly and non-consensually watching his friends do it.
Yeah.
Which is, in fact, inappropriate behavior.
It's weird.
So he beats the crap out of him and sends him on his way. So that actually is going to come back because now Beaumont is, the usual humiliated, mad, blah, 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 blah. Okay, now let's go to the coffee shop.
Okay, so now we're at a coffee shop and he's like, I'll give you he's like, I bet it's worth 50 pounds. And she's like, that's insulting. Lefebvre said that a Russian czar would give his left and right nuts for it. So no, that's definitely not going to happen. And she's like, but I will give it to you, but I have one condition. And that is you need to let go of Bertie. You need to tell him off. You need to send him back to England. You need to just please help me with this. And he is so mad. It says that he's reverted back to his childhood self. And he's like, I've offered a toy trade and she has laughed at my toy and will not even consider it. And now I'm mad. And so it says that if he were in his right state of mind, he would realize that this is a fucking awesome deal because he wants to get rid of Bertie anyway, but he can't because this woman has tried to one-up him and control him and work him.
And he thinks that by her doing that, by her trying to one-up him, that she's saying he's not worthy, right? It is that back to he's a broken boy.
Yeah.
He's just a little broken boy. Yeah, a little sad toucan. So sad toucan can't handle any form of counteract response to his shit. It's either take it or don't take it. And if you try to negotiate, then you're putting him down. And he's a very sad person. Yeah. And he reacts to that by immediately being like, I'm going to fuck with this woman. What he doesn't know is that she has already identified that she wants to bang him a lot.
Oh my God. After their first meeting, she goes back to her grandmother and she's like, I have an animal attraction to him. This is the worst. He's the worst guy to have these feelings for. This is incredibly inconvenient, she says. And her grandmother's like, okay, but you should marry him though. Sink your teeth in, get him on side and marry the fuck out of him. And she's like, Genevieve, I'm not doing that. I'm going to be free forever. That's what I'm going to be.
My God. Could you imagine if you married the first person you felt lust for?
Oh God. Oh no. Not great.
Absolutely not.
Not great.
Yeah. So that's the downside of Facebook. We know what happened to them. Okay. So she's wearing really fancy gloves, as you do in Les Mis times.
Yes.
And there's dozens of little buttons going up and down her arms to seal these suckers. And she is eating cake with her gloves on. And he's like, damn, bitch, you can't eat cake with your gloves off. Just take off your gloves. She's like, I cannot take off my gloves because there are 14,000 buttons on my gloves. And Genevieve bought them for me. And it would hurt her feelings if I didn't wear the stupid gloves.
Right.
So he's like, all right, now I'm going to fuck with this lady, and grabs her arm.
Well, because he says, you either take the money I'm offering you, which is now 1,500 pounds, PS, or I'm going to ruin you in the middle of this coffee shop and everywhere else.
Ruination.
And so she's like, I should like to see you try is a through line of this book that I absolutely love. So, So he reaches over and he starts undoing the buttons of these intricate gloves while speaking sexy Italian, but really he's talking about drains and floods and other stuff. But then he sees that she's kind of reacting a little bit to it. And by button 6, he's breathing a little bit hard. And then he starts talking about in Italian how he actually does want to unbutton every single one of her garments and take it off and maybe bump Ugly's a tiny bit. And so then he's like, at the end of it, he takes off her glove, and it's like this series of 3 tugs that are so sexy on the page. It's nuts.
Everything sounds hot. Everything sounds hot. It all works for me. Mm-hmm. Also, though, like I'm like, how does she speaks Latin, and he knows that she speaks Latin because they've already done like the literary, right? They've done the literary standard trope of, I'm gonna say something in Latin, someone's gonna respond with the exact same, monk in Latin.
Correct.
And so they've done that game. Italian's pretty close, especially this. I would be concerned she would figure it out.
I know. Same. He's not though. Boy.
He is focused on the seduction angle.
Yeah. Yeah.
And all of the ruination.
Yeah. And by the end of this, she's like, I'm so sorry. And he's like, you're sorry.
But why though?
You're ruined. I'm fine. And she's like, no, everybody in this coffee shop did just see Lord Beelzebub seduce a blue stocking. Like, I'm a lady, man. And you're coming after it pretty serious, like, and everybody saw it. And so it's your reputation, I think, actually, that's super fucked right now. Wow,
and then
what a miscalculation.
Like, I didn't realize that Italian was so amazing and moving. And he goes, I was talking about drains. And she says, I didn't know that, but I don't think they knew that.
Nobody knew that.
Yeah, you are trying to bang Bertie Trent's spinster sister in front of everybody.
Everybody knows it. Oh, knows. Lord Dane.
Your ruination. Yeah. So he's still holding her hand through all of this. And she's
Bertie comes back.
Well, not yet, because she's like, give my hand back. And if you don't give me my hand back, I will kiss you in front of God and everybody.
I will.
And he says, I'd like to see you try. Yeah. So then Bertie shows up.
Yeah. And Bertie's like, God damn it. Can you stop hitting on all of my friends? Jesus. Like, you're such a trollop for being a spinster. And then she laughs. I think it's something he says to Bertie, but of course he's got his hackles up because things have gone awry and he did not see it coming. And so he thinks that she's laughing at him again. And so now he gets like extra super duper pissed. And he's like, you know what? Fuck that and fuck you. Now I'm going to make it my mission to ruin Bertie financially, not in the downstairs parts. And so he's like, Bertie, why don't you come out and we'll bet on horses and we'll pay too much money for tarts and we'll do some card games that really fuck you up and you'll drink so much that you might die. And Bertie's like, cannot wait.
He's described as a bacon brain. He's a gullible bacon brain who thinks now that he's besties with Dane. And he's not besties.
He's super not.
At all.
No. Not even close.
No.
So then we get a scene with Beaumont and Vautry, right? And Vautry's like...
Oh, yes.
And so...
Yeah, I had not yet figured out how to say that out loud.
It's Vautry, yeah.
It's Vautry, yeah.
So Beaumont is like, hey, Vautry, I think that there's some ish happening with Lord Dane and that they're spinster. And so I'm going to bet you many hundreds of pounds that within 7 days, he's going to like chase her when she huffs away. And Vautry's like, Lord Dane doesn't chase anyone, especially
never.
And
so, a lady.
Yeah. So he takes the bet and it's a mistake because 6 days later, like Bertie hasn't come home to like take her to a party. I think.
Yeah, she's supposed to go to a party. She needs to be escorted. He said he would show up and he hasn't. And now she has had enough.
She's done with it.
Bullshit.
Yeah.
And she heads right over to the Pussy Posse Central house.
That's the one.
Dane's, that house. And she is just like, we're going in. And the footman, when she shows up and she's like, get me to my brother. He's like, oh, no, I will be dead.
I can't do that.
Go up there.
I won't be unemployed. I'll be super dead.
Yeah. And she's already pissed because she had sent a porter over and that porter got sort of tossed back onto the street. But then she hears a gunshot upstairs and has had enough. And she runs up because now she thinks her dumbass brother's gotten in the way of a bullet.
Oh, yeah.
And so she's going to go figure it out. And she walks in to just
mayhem.
Roman, old fashioned. Yeah. Like just straight up. People are banging it out to the left. People are there to the right. There's
two ladies sitting on Beelzebub's lap, and her brother is splayed out on the ground. And so she's like, "Oh, Bertie," and runs over to him. And she is about to do CPR or like staunch the blood or whatever. It turns out that he is just snoring passed out on the ground. And
he just drank too much.
I love her so much because it says in the inner monologue, like she stands up and she's like, it says like she wasn't overcome by her current environment because she had seen many an adolescent bottom because her cousins think that's funny. And like, she's seen a tiny toddler penis when all the times that she's done blah, blah, blah. And so she's like, I am feeling really jealous because of those tarts that are sitting on his lap. And like, they don't look anything like me. And I don't like that either because those are the ones he chose. But then she's like, they're just business women doing what they are paid to do.
Exactly.
She's like warring with herself. It's so funny. And then she looks at everybody and she's like, well, my apologies. I thought he was dead. Carry on. And she just fucks off. And it's such a power move, Tanya.
Oh, and what I love is that it's not even an intentional power move, right? Like this is just her personality.
Yeah.
She has seen what she needed to see. She is now going to leave. She will kill her brother another day. But of course, this sends him into an absolute fury.
Oh, yeah.
Because she has not reacted to anything the way he wants her to.
Uh-huh. So guess what he does? He does tell Denise and Valerie or whatever her name is to get up, and they go running away from him, and he follows her out of that room with Beaumont and Vautry sitting there with their head on the laps of somebody else. And so he follows her down and he sees her leave and he's like, oh no, she fucking doesn't. And then he goes out after her, but he almost runs into her because she's marching back up the stairs to do more murder if she possibly can.
She's pissed.
She's so mad because the footman has sent away her maid and the hackney that she was going to take home. Yep. And he's stolen her umbrella, that absolute brute.
And now it's going to rain. There's a thunderstorm of brewing.
Yeah, it's just a walk home.
Emotionally too.
Also,
emotional thunderstorm.
Also that one. Yeah.
Yes.
So she's like, your servants are just like you. You're perfect for each other. And he's like, where the fuck do you think you're going? Walking around in the Parisian streets or whatever. And so he follows her and she's like, I'm just going to go home. Like, you've ruined my night. You've ruined everything. This fucking blows. I really dislike you right now. And like, go back to your, okay. I do have to say one thing.
Yeah, we got a little problem here.
Hated this throughout. There is a lot of not at all subtle commentary about like fatness being whorish and like unseemly and like blah,
she
blah,
calls
blah.
Sex workers cows. All right.
She did do that.
Happens. Jessica, our girl is upset. You can read it in a way that it is about the size of their tits, that they are lush, and she doesn't feel that way, but she does it by calling them cows, and it's a problem.
No, but it's also, I feel like it was more than that, just because like it's not just this moment. It's very much like she always is like, you like them, you know, big and buxom and stupid or something like that. You know, like she's seen a couple of the different sex workers that he has employed and realizes that they have a very different body type than her. Like later on, he says that he has an appointment with like an Amazonian lady. And it's very much like he likes them tall and broad and stout and like, you know, big boobs, big butts, whatever. And she's like, he's always referring to her as like this tiny wisp or like this slip of a spinster. And like, she's got, her boobs are small, but not when you look at her teeny, tiny little waist. Like she's very much, she's like, she says that she's taller than most women, but like that doesn't matter when you're the biggest brute that's ever happened to the world. And she's just so teeny tiny that you can pick her up with one hand. They're always talking about.
I did look it up. He describes her as no more than 8 stone. This is like 110 pounds.
Yeah.
And she's supposed to be taller than other women. And we haven't also even addressed the fact that she's supposed to have gray eyes.
Yeah.
All right. Because
gray
of course.
And super black hair.
Right. But, you know, the most rare eye color in, you know, the human species or whatever. Like it's all of those things. Right.
But it is really interesting because when you take all of that and you put it in the context of he was a disgusting reprobate that society looked down upon when he was with all of these types of women. And then his salvation and his, you know, his emotional growth and all of the whatever happened with the one teeny tiny little wonderful little skinny little lady who did.
He can pick her up with one hand.
Oh my God, he can just throw her across the room and it's no problem.
Not a problem. His whole hand spans her whole waist.
Oh my God.
Every time he picks her up.
Yeah. And so it does sort of smack of an underlying implication of like,
oh yeah,
this is goodness and the rest of it is fucking trash. Okay.
Well, I mean, it leans right into that, right? Because it also goes the idea that he's considered evil and devilish and dirty and all those things because he's dark, right? It is the
He's
absolute
got olive skin and black hair and black eyes,
which makes him less than, you know,
the English boys.
Yes, exactly. The Victorian ghosts, right? So it's just, it's like that is also an overarching thing. It's one of those, you know, it's one of those things you have to just go, all right.
Yeah, you just navigate.
Wouldn't be written like that today.
Exactly. Yeah. This thing was written in like the early 90s, right? I think. Anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it is a classic, and classics are often
and didn't break my stride. I'll be honest with you. It was one of those things that I could look at. Yeah.
Yes. I clocked it and then I continued.
Right.
It did not do the thing where I'm like, I cannot read this anymore.
Correct. Yeah.
Yeah. Like
there was no overt fat shaming. There was no like, there was none of that. It was just a lot of very, very muddy implications.
Yes. And I have a feeling that at the time this was written, it was also considered extremely progressive about sex workers.
Yeah.
Because there is a lot of positive connotation about the choices that women in this era have. And there's discussion about why a woman would or would not do sex work, and then how to do sex work ethically. That is also a conversation.
Yeah. They're
is out of control considering the power men have, but you know what
completely.
I mean.
Well, and I mean, but they're referred to quite a bit as like business women. And like, there is that whole commentary later on with the lawyer about like the choices women have and the ways in which the
lack
lengths
of choices
they have to go to get any kind of justice in different situations. So,
exactly.
Okay.
And that's not relevant to our time at all.
No, not at fucking all. Okay. Anyway, Roe v. Wade has just been overturned. So,
okay.
So she takes off her bonnet and she does start walloping him with it, which I did love. And he's very
walking down a street, by the way. They're walking down a Parisian street. It's getting dark. The storm is about to start.
Oh, it's a
She's a little bit lost, and he knows it. So he's also making fun of her. And
she's making fun of him back. She's like, thank you so much for escorting me, you sweet man. And he's like, I'll show you, sweet. So he does start by shaking her, I think, but then it does turn into a big smoocheroo. And he's doing it to show her, but then she does cling to him like the stickiest spider monkey that has ever happened, like a spider monkey let loose in a taffy factory. She's on him. And he's loving it at that point. It says that like his knees go weak and he like stumbles back into a lamppost and stuff. It's nice.
It's nice. It is a good one. And he has a thing where he's like, literally, he's never been held before.
Yeah.
Like he talks about how as soon as he left to Eton, that was it. Like this idea of, and she is just clinging to him and just gripping him and kissing his face off and matching him.
Oh yeah.
For the intensity. And he is like in Italian, just saying all the things. He is saying, I've dreamed of you. I've wanted you in my arms from the moment I met you. I need you. And he is so horrified at this inner Italian monologue that's happening that he just overreacts to a crack of lightning.
Yeah, they both pull away from each other. And she's like, no, God, damn you, Dane. And then like runs the fuck away.
Just fucks off into the Parisian night.
That's the one. Yeah. And then he doesn't do a goddamn thing for 2 whole weeks. And like,
no,
he doesn't. She's like, I thought maybe he was into it, but he hasn't come around or anything for 2 weeks, which is for the best. She thinks to herself, totally for the best. I don't even care. And then they both get invited to the same ball because now Paris is all aflutter. The ton is like Beelzebub's smitten and like the spinster's going to get ruined. Who's got money on what? And so he's like, I don't really know what the fuck to do. And she tells her grandmother she's not going. And Genevieve's like, you cannot do that to a man's pride. Like, you better go.
Learn how to manage a man.
Yeah.
I mean, and Genevieve has a point, right? Like, again, a time where little options were had. You better use whatever you had. And in this case, it's, you got to deal with how to manipulate without losing. Essentially, that's what it is.
And
it's not great, but
there's also a point with Genevieve that's like manipulate ethically. Like earlier on, they have a conversation where she's like, I just described him as like handsome and virile and super rich and like you have an animal attraction to him. And she's like, he's not husband material. And she's like, darling, I just described perfect husband material. Like it's not a situation in which she is telling her to only go because of his money or whatever. Like, you want him. You are intrigued by him. You're challenged by him. And so I don't know. It still seems ethical to me within the bounds of like,
I think so. Yeah. I mean, it's, you know, it's dating.
For real.
Yeah. And meanwhile, he's in all of a tizzy at the same time as well, obviously. You find out that at some point in his past, he was sort of tricked into fake ruination to try to get manipulated to marry. And then he read the contract and the contract was terrible. And he literally was like, I'm not marrying this bitch. You're trying to get all my money for everybody. And they were like, well, you have to. And he's like, or we're going to shoot you. And he's like, well, then shoot me. And of course they did nothing. And this married her off to somebody else. But again, those reinforcement lessons that he's gotten about marriage and love and ruinations. So yeah. But meanwhile, he's thinking about that kiss. He's thinking about it.
Can't stop thinking about it. Yeah. And so she goes to the ball because, you know, Genevieve says she had to. And she's like, yeah, you're right. God damn it. And also I do want to see him. Okay. Don't tell anyone. And then he shows up at midnight and he like very dramatically comes in and he's wearing like mostly black. And he's just
giant hulking man striding. He strides. He does not walk.
No,
y'all, he just strides into rooms and then he strides out of rooms. And that's
right.
It.
Oh yeah.
He got one speed. It's stride.
And there are ripples everywhere in society, no matter where he goes. So she tries to save some dances. Okay. And it doesn't work out because he's so fucking late. And so all of her dance card is filled up and it's this fan. And he comes over and he's like,
with the sticks on it, with like
my dance. Yeah.
I keep thinks it's my popsicle sticks.
Oh, I love it. I love it, frankly.
Yeah, popsicle sticks with names on them.
Yeah. Yeah. And so
sure that's not true.
She's like, no, look at my fan, like right in front of his face. All of my sticks are full. And he's like, oh, this fan? Let me grab it.
Snap.
And he just starts breaking all of the things. And he's like, oh, looks like is my dance. Oh no.
Dead fan. And then he shoves, I do love the note that he shoves the fan into like a potted plant. He's just like, let me just jam it in there. It's compostable.
Like, fuck this fan, fuck this fern.
And then he's like, let's go dance, bitch. And they do.
They dance. Except it's not like a staid English waltz, everyone. It is a continental sex waltz. Okay. It's the kind of waltz that he probably does with his tarts, and she loves it. Because like
the secret, passionate Brazilian lambada. It is like straight up. Remember that time? No, you don't remember. There was that whole time where everybody went crazy for the lambada in like 96.
No, but I do remember Strictly Ballroom.
Ballroom.
Where she teaches him the paso doble.
No, they do a tango, but it is, in fact, the way he impresses her dad is about his dad teaching him the proper paso doble.
Yes.
Because he goes, oh, you paso doble? Oh. Show me your paso doble.
And he's like, there's no passion.
And it was a white boy paso doble.
Oh,
and then
boy.
He teaches him the hot Argentinian paso doble.
That's the one.
And they paso doble their way to the championship. And that is what they're doing, essentially. They're doing all the hottest waltzing ballroom, just hurling around.
And my favorite part of this is the whole time she's talking, she's like, listen, there's this farce that like, you love me. And I know it's not true because you don't even like me. And so like, I'm going to do my best to help you out of this. Okay. We'll dance. Sure. But then after the dance, you can just like laugh and fuck off. And then everybody's going to be like, oh, we were wrong. She meant nothing to him. Mm-hmm. And then at the end of the dance, he doesn't let go of her hand. And he says, but Jess, what if they had the right of it? And she's like, I don't know what that means. And he's like, let me take you to the sunroom and show you because it's tits out in the garden time.
It is. And that is how, how plants know when you talk to them?
Yeah.
They also know when your tits out.
Oh, it helps them. They do. Oh, they just unfurl. They get glossier.
Plants are notorious boob species. They want to see titties.
Absolutely.
If you are having problems with your succulents, show them your succulents. Problem solved.
Problem solved. Oh my God.
So they're in this little garden area. And he starts immediately on the gloves. Gloves off first. Always.
Gloves off. And then he goes in on that Italian. Tanya. He's calling her cara. And he's telling to botcha me. And touch me up, Jess.
And it's like everything sounds like really sexy pasta. Everything.
Oh God. Everything about
it. Cara.
And then she pulls away from him and she pulls his head down and she kisses that big schnoz on him. And then she kisses his cheekbone and his eye. And she's just like, let me kiss everything on your beautiful fucking face. And he melts and he says like part of him like got stitched back together again, basically.
Oh, because he loves him already.
Yeah.
And he loves her already. And then they're smoochies.
And then they're
smooching a lot.
Smooch.
They're doing a big smooch and a leg hike and
there's been zero transaction before this. You know what I mean? Like he hasn't had to throw a single shilling her way. No, and then
he's definitely like in her, like they are doing the grinds now.
Oh, hardcore. Yeah, he has a hand on her knee, listener. Yeah. Okay. Jeez, her naked knee.
He's undoing the bodice. Right?
Bodice is completely open.
She's like, I thought I already understood what it was like to want to bang this dude. I knew nothing. Because now I get it. Now I'm in bang mode. So yeah. And this is still going on. And it's going on for a while. And
then he pulls back. And she sees like ice go over his eyeballs. And she's like, what's going on? What happened? And then she hears like a titter and a dress against a bush. And she's like, oh my God, he's told people to come watch me be ruined. And then we switch to his perspective and he's like, fuck this. I thought she was different, but it turns out she's just trying to set me up to make me marry her the way that every other person has done that. And this wasn't about me at all.
Yep.
And so he freaks out and he does a lash out. That's like,
he does a major lash out.
He throws her skirts down and he says, why would I buy the cow if I got the milk gratis?
Which like, no, that first of all, that phrase has never made any goddamn sense.
It hasn't made any sense. No. Although it's really funny when used in like, now times. Okay. So yesterday we were at like a Home Goods or something. And I was putting Xiaomei back in the car and Michael was waiting for me because we were really close to the other car. He was waiting for me to like get her buckled in so that he could go past me into the seat. And I come out afterwards because I'm all bent over and I was like, wow, not a single feel up, huh? Wow. Interesting. So we're like making fun of each other back up to the seats. And I get in and he's like, I bought the cow. I don't know. It's really funny.
Oh no.
I can do that anytime I want.
I do have to say, I get why they want to do that metaphor. I get that that metaphor has been used, but like, it is so dumb.
It's so dumb and weird.
Yeah. And if anybody truly like, if any listener is like, well, I mean, but maybe it's like, it works because why would you? And I just want to point out that that's like saying, why buy the book when you can go to the library for free?
Yeah.
And it's like, yeah, some books you want to keep forever.
Mm-hmm.
Like forever, ever.
That's
as opposed to just reading it once and then saying that was a nice read. So
yeah,
we're going to extend this metaphor longer, but he's livid because he's like, am I supposed to announce that we're engaged now because of this blah, blah, blah? Am I supposed to just turn around and be like, we're good? And she's
because
like,
she says, you have to help me out of this.
Yeah.
And what we find out she means is that she wants him to threaten the fucking daylights out of these people and be like, you saw fucking nothing. You will tell no one about anything or I will fuck
use
you up.
His mean reputation.
Yeah.
Yes.
And he thinks we have to get married now.
And so she says, this is really unworthy of you. And it's really unforgivable that you're doing this to me. And he says, then shoot me and walks out.
And so now she's again, tits out, trying to do whatever. Vautry, his friend, comes over and he's like, oh, I tried to do a big distract, but it didn't work. And I'm really sorry. Here's my coat. Like, can I get you a carriage? Oh, no.
She's like, just get me the fuck out of here.
Yeah. She's just done. Go get my grandmother. I'm not going to faint. I'm not going to do any hysterical things. What I am going to do is very methodically think about what he's done and what he should be punished for and how he should be punished.
And here's the moment the book truly got me. When I say true, like I was like, I gave this author $5.99 of my monies and I want to give her $5.99 more because this bitch sits on this for amount of like days because she is just like, how bad is it? And it's bad. And she knows it's bad. And so she goes, enough's enough. And she picks an outfit. And this is important. When conducting revenge,
you've got to dress the part.
One wears. It is actually okay. We're gonna take it back to the classic movie Showgirls for a second.
Yes,
a movie that if you have never seen it, you must see the camp classic that is Showgirls. Mm-hmm. But at one point, she is going to avenge her best friend who has been horribly assaulted.
Yep.
But she can't do that until she gets her nails painted appropriately. She paints own giant long nails very elaborately, and they are her revenge nails.
They are her talons.
She doesn't use the nails in the revenge. That's not the point. The point is
it's a
she
vibe.
Had two satirical revenge choices.
That's one.
And that's what she does in this book. Jessica picks a dark red gown It is
buttoned up to her neck.
All the way up. She has a black shawl draped over her head like a mantilla.
Yes. Draped over her head and shoulders.
Yes, like she has done a whole look for this revenge. Oh. And she marches into his house and shoots him.
One of his friends is like, Mademoiselle, you don't need to do this. And she says, say your prayers, Dane. And he whispers, yes. And then she shoots him. She just shoots him. Incredible.
She has had enough and she shoots his ass.
So I'm so excited about it.
It makes me so happy. Everything about it made me so deeply happy. Mm-hmm. And then because she's also just like a fucking realistic baller, mm-hmm. she marches into a police station in Paris and goes, yeah, I shot him.
I shot a man today because he ruined me and he deserved it.
You should arrest me now.
And they're all like, do you want some tea? Sit down. That couldn't have happened. Like, why don't you go she's hallucinating. Go see what's going on. And the guy comes back and he's like, no, she shot his ass. I saw the blood. Like, there are doctors there and stuff. And it's a perfectly clean through and through like shoulder wound because she's a great shot.
Great shot. Yes.
Perfect aim on this bitch. And she didn't want to like kill him. She just wanted to maim him. Not even severely. She just needed to teach him a fucking lesson. And then her plan is to have a big public trial so that everybody knows exactly what the fuck he did to her. And she's like, no French fucking jury is going to come after my beautiful countenance when it's about a passion crime with love. And stuff. And it's so good. She's like, and if you're not going to put me on trial, then I want just a gaggle of reporters here right now.
I want everybody to know. Yeah. Everybody. Every salon is going to be talking about this week. Mm-hmm. Right? The bourgeoisie get on it. Oh. And that is exactly what happens. Because she knows how to execute a plan. Also, we should be able to shoot people a little bit. Listen.
Just the tiniest shot.
I am very pro gun control. Yeah. I don't like guns. I don't care what that means about how whatever leftist woke I am. I fucking hate guns. But there are times where I think like if we just shot like a little bit, like I'm not saying kill people. I'm saying, would the world be better if someone was allowed to strategically shoot Brett Kavanaugh? Not kill him? So. I'm not making a threat that needs to be investigated.
No, most certainly not. Tanya does not own a gun. Tanya has no idea where to get a gun.
No, Tanya never.
He doesn't want a gun.
This is a strict hypothetical.
I mean, here's the thing. Like, I feel like we should be able to shoot someone with a pellet gun. You know what I mean?
Yes, that's good.
Paintball gun. Like, I would like to shoot a fucking beanbag at someone who deserves it. That's all.
And you only get one. I think you should have to save your one for when you're ready.
Absolutely.
Everybody gets a beanbag air pistol and everybody gets one.
Right.
And you get one every 10 years.
Ooh, I like that.
There you go. And that should be the standard. Okay. I'm glad we talked it back from actual felonious attempted murder charges.
Yeah.
On my person. Yeah. Thank you.
No worries. No worries. Appreciate that. That's what I'm here for. So then he gets a letter from her lawyer and he's like, God fucking damn it. She's so awesome. And she's so smart. She did get the meanest, most feminist lawyer that France has to offer. And it's bullshit. He's like, this guy has made his whole career on getting ladies justice after being ruined or after being divorced on, or, all the bullshit. And he's like, if men don't just like fall down to their demands, he buries them in paperwork that lasts for decades.
I want a spin-off series about him. I want an entire book series where he just runs around the world getting justice for ladies getting screwed. That's chef's kiss. That's the Lincoln where I want in this world.
It's so good. So then he's like, fuck that and fuck you. I'm not doing anything through lawyers. I will look at Jessica's fucking face and talk to her about her demands. And so they meet up And he's like, and she's like, I don't understand why you're calling me vindictive. You're the one who set the whole thing up so that everybody would see my cunt in public. And he's like, I set that up. You set that up. And she's like, why the fuck would I do that? Like, I don't, so many people have offered to marry me, sir. I am unmarried by fucking choice. I don't need to play these nonsense shenanigans. And so, boy, does he go over to a decanter. Oh my God, because his left arm doesn't work anymore.
Oh yeah. He has, from the shot, nobody can figure it out. None of the doctors can figure out why his arm is not working correctly.
No, listen, it's not a psychosomatic wound.
No.
Never. No,
it has nothing to do with his trust issues.
But like, also, we have no idea medically why it's happening. So
exactly.
And so he goes over to decanter and he's like, well, I believe we've been working off of the same misapprehension. And so my terms are marriage or nothing, Jess. That's what it is. Marriage or nothing. And she thinks to herself, wait a second. I've heard that insecure laugh before.
Yep.
These fucking men with their fragile pride. I've heard that before. He actually does want to marry me, I think. Huh. Well, I guess we're getting married. And then we switch to his perspective and he's like, I told myself that her answer didn't matter, but like it might have mattered a tiny bit to me, Lord Dane.
I mean, just a little bit.
It's teensy tiny bit, like as small as her waist. Okay.
It's her delicate waist. But she absolutely is like, all right, I've weighed the pros and cons.
Yeah.
And the cons are me not being able to live the life I want to live and not being able to do what I want. And you suck for many reasons. But I am going to enjoy the fact that now you're going to have to suck with me as your wife.
And you're going to have to tell everybody that the one and only Lord Dane, who doesn't fuck with ladies of a gentry status and like will never get married ever, is now eating his words. Like, love that for you. And he's like, I don't care what all my stupid friends think. They're stupid and I don't even like them.
And so also you should pack because we're going to leave tomorrow. Like in 2 days or whatever.
Yeah. Also, we have to go back to England because if I'm going to get married, it's going to be in St. Gabriel's Church of the fancy people
and the lawns and stuff.
And the something's going to be red. Things. The bands, that's the one.
Yes, the church stuff and the banners and the announcements and
and the super expensive stuff. You can have the biggest wedding breakfast you want. She's like, I don't want a fucking wedding breakfast.
She's like, I just want to hang out in Paris.
Yeah, I want to stay in Paris. Like, no. And part of the reason is that he doesn't want his lady wife hanging out in like the gross house where everybody's fucked. He's like, my lady wife is not going to be tarnished by this nonsense. And also I have to burn the bed in the ancestral home because my lady wife is not going to fuck with that.
Yeah.
No.
Well, you have to burn that bed because that was the same mattress that he fathered a bastard with.
That's the one.
A sex worker named Charity.
Yeah.
And so that, so that's the problem with the bed at home. And I do appreciate that he, even before blacklight technology, understood what was in that house.
Absolutely.
And, she did not need to have to deal with that. No one does.
No.
So
there's got to be crabs in there, right? Like
literal.
There's a crab
visible, and the pubic lice would just bouncing. Just bouncing all over the place,
just jumping everywhere. I know. Ugh. So they go back to England and he ignores her for 2 weeks, she thinks. But really, he can't be around her because he wants her so badly. And he just wants to like brush her hair and follow her around and like pat her on the butt a little bit. And he's disgusted with himself. Yeah. So he does take her on like a curricle ride. And he's like, you've lost weight. I don't like it. Why? And she's like, I'm fucking stressed out, man. Like, I deal with stress the exact opposite way that Melody does. And I haven't eaten anything in roughly the time I've been home because planning this wedding sucks.
I relate to that zero. I relate to that completely. Not at all. No. I don't really understand what that is to not eat because you're busy. that is Sarah as well. And I'm just like, no, food's right there. I don't get it. And I've had to feed you in times of stress.
Have you?
Yes.
I don't know.
You have to eat something. Oh, there was a moment.
Oh, fair. Yeah. The super dark times. But it's not like planning a wedding.
No, but it's just like, that's my thing. It's like, I don't understand how emotional there's no connection for me between the specter, my human emotion, and my ability to go, oh, it's lunchtime. Those things are not connected.
No.
I not don't understand other people.
No.
Which is why I am, in fact, a buxom, whatever she calls
I'm a buxom trollop.
I'm a buxom trollop cow.
That's who I am. One.
Yeah.
Okay, we like it like that.
So of course they end up making out in this ride because how would you not?
She's like, the one thing I wouldn't let my crazy aunt win on is the negligee that I bought for our wedding. I did channel my revenge, and it is wine red with black little strippy strappies.
Yes.
And he's like, overcome. And he's like, Jess, you got to stop talking about the translucent fabric you're going to put on your body. I'm going to maul you now. And she's into it again. And he's like, I think she might be into it, but like, it's too good to be true. You know, he's having a hard time with it. So anyway, he does lay down the law when he gets back to the house, and he's like, Aunt, you're going to stop being a nutter butter. And like, I'm going to help plan the wedding now. So step aside.
And well, he's not going to help. He's going to send a bunch of people. He's going to pay for it. Fair. I do appreciate that these motherfuckers know how to be rich. I cannot stand it when people do not know how to be rich.
Yeah.
The point of being rich is to solve problems with money.
Yes.
That is the goddamn point.
Yeah.
So the fact that he's just like, we're going to throw some more money at this shit. It'll be great. And then that saves her for the last several weeks. She can just actually enjoy being a rich person and getting married in a ceremony she has no idea what it's going to be like. It's great.
Oh my God. And what it's like is that he kisses her fucking face off in front of God and everybody right after they say I do. The priest man is like, you can now kiss the bride. And he's like, yeah, I fucking can. And everybody is scandalized, and it's glorious. And he's like clicking his heels back down the aisle after they're married. Like, he's stoked about this. And everyone's very confused.
But I do not love it when there's tongue at a church wedding.
No, I don't like it. There's a time and a place.
Like, save it for the reception. It's fine. But it's awkward because whoever the religious leader is there. That's so what gets me. They're so close.
They're so close.
They're right up in there. And then you're just, slipping each other the tongue. It's like, come on, you could have gotten married in a garden. You did not need to choose the church. Just say.
Anyway.
There's me being a ridiculous prude about that. But here we go.
Okay, so now it's honeymoons in Devon. We got to get to Devon, and it's a many-day carriage ride.
Yes, as you do.
Yeah.
And that means you're stopping at inns and whatnot.
Right. And I love her because she's like, so are there any specific requirements you have of the wedding night? Because I am inexperienced and I like to be the best at everything I do.
Yes, I am a competitive soul. I would like to win.
I would like to rock your world, please.
Yes, I'm going to win at the sex, but you need to give me instruction.
Yeah.
So that I can win at the sex.
That's the one.
I love her. I love her so much.
I love her. But he has a very silly reaction because he's like, OMG, I've been fetishizing her virginity since I met her, but I didn't actually think about the logistics of doing away with said virginity. And like, she's such a teeny tiny little wisp of a lady, and I am such a big strong man who's the size of a house, and I'm gonna break her, he thinks.
Yes, he has now decided that his giant penis, which is only rivaled by his giant nose, is going to be so overwhelming that it's going to break her. And I'm like, men are so dumb.
Sir.
So dumb.
So dumb.
It is. They are bacon brained. They are bacon brained.
They're bacon brained clodpoles. Is what they are.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Have you seen the watermelons we have to push out of that? Jesus.
Thank you. A baby is a baby is a baby, and they come out of that spot too. So, yes.
Okay, so they get to the inn where they're supposed to stay the night.
But they have been having fun on the trip. Let's not forget that they have been doing dirty jokes and having fun and enjoying each other and laughing. And it's so cute. Okay, back to they get there.
Oh, yeah. So they get to the inn and he runs into a drunk brosif from Eton or something. Yep. And he's like, "Blah, ha, ha, Dane getting married. Good joke. Who's that fucking whore over there?" And he's like, that's seriously my wife.
There's one.
Yeah, you got to stop doing that, Ainsley. And he's like, "Brah. It's a nice looking trollop though, you know? So like, where'd you get her? Because I hope there's more like her." And he's like, "Okay, but stop it. Because that is my lady wife," he says.
And then he's like, "Where'd you get this one? Was it the theater? Was it the gardens? Yeah, I don't Haymarket? I don't know where you got this one."
And so he's like, "All right, well, that's three. We got to fight now. We're fighting now." Yeah. And so this is also my favorite part because she's perfect. She's the perfect heroine. She's perfect from start to finish. She goes up into their room and she goes out into the balcony and she's very excited to see her new husband brawl over her honor.
She is so into it.
Stoked. Then he takes off his shirt and she's like, "Fucking jackpot. I get a peek at that torso as well. Like this is best day ever.
This is
best
great.
Day ever."
And she's like, "Okay, so he only has one arm.
Yeah.
The other guy's drunk." She's like, "This could work." And she's watching from the window as these two start going at it.
Oh my God. And she's like, "Oh, he's such a smart fighter. Like he's using all of his brain parts and he's ducking and dodging and weaving and then just like throwing the fuck down." And Ainsley keeps on being like, "Nah, I'm bleeding everywhere, but let's go again." And like, it's so drunk and dumb. And then he wins and it's fine. And then he looks up and he's like, "Oh my God, my wife has seen me brawling like an impoverished brute, you know, like one of those whores. Oh my God, that's not how you do it."
Is having the exact same reaction I had watching Tom Hardy in the movie Warrior.
Yes,
which is sploosh
everywhere. Thank God her maid is around because it's a mess over there. And so then he's like, "All right, I got to drink it out because this is a disaster." And she's like, "You know what? Men do get their bloods up and they need to become best friends after they punch the shit out of each other. And like, he'll have a few drinks and then he will come up and he will make my dreams come true."
That is not what happens.
He super doesn't.
No, he gets hammered with his friends and relives the fight for hours and then stumbles up. And then she has to put his dumb ass to bed.
Oh.
And she's like, "Oh, so he didn't want to fuck me on our goddamn wedding night."
Yeah. And she's very like, I love her because she's like, "I'm sure there's like a stupid male brain reason that this is happening and it has nothing to do with me. However, in this moment, it does feel very personal and it feels like he thinks I'm gross. So that sucks on my wedding night. Not great." Yep. But then he drunkenly does a big snuggle on her and she feels a little bit better and she goes to sleep. She's like, "Okay, I guess."
So the next day he's amazed that she is like, "That fight was awesome. You compensated this way. You understood what was going on."
She calls him a scientific fighter. And he's like, oh God.
Yep.
Oh no. Yeah. And then she's like, how about you show me how it's done? And like, she gets up on a boulder or whatever. And he's like, this is fucking adorable. Everything about this is so cute. And then he picks her up and they do a big giant smooch and she kisses him back like the Dickens. And he's very excited about it. But then he then a crow caws. This is how damaged he is, listener. A crow caws. And he remembers that Ainsley called him Big Beak yesterday. And then all of a sudden he's just like mad and sullen. And he's like, let's go back to the carriage. We have to go. And she's like, all right, man. Like, okay. I don't know what just happened, but like the kiss before whatever that was.
What emotional landmine did you trip over this time?
Yeah, for real. Uh-huh. So then they get to the house and like she gets to look around and then they go to the formal dining room and they sit like 30 feet away from each other, as is customary or something. And then she goes to the library while he does a cognac maybe or a brandy. Yep. Which is weird when you're alone. Like it's one thing if there's like a party of people and they're like, now the genders have to go off in their separate corners.
Oh, the fact that they're split up by gender. I thought cognac was weird when you were alone. I'm like,
oh no, that's perfectly fine. That's great.
Okay.
Anyway, so then he goes and like sees her in the library and she has found the family Bible. Mm-hmm. And she's like, oh my God, it's your birthday and you didn't tell me.
And he's like, birthday.
I know.
What a rookie mistake to put your birthday that close to your wedding anniversary, though.
Seriously.
Woof.
What if something goes sideways?
Don't do that.
You know?
Yeah. Well, I was
pick a random date for your wedding.
Yeah. You don't want it anywhere near anybody's birthday. You don't want to fuck with somebody's birthday.
No.
That
should be about them.
Rookie mistake. Yes, exactly. Yeah. So he screwed up, but she does insist that he write her into the family Bible.
Yeah. She wants
or to he has taken of a wife.
Oh my God. I love it. Also, he notices that his dad did personally record the date on which his mom did die a fevered in the West Indies after fucking off. And he's like, not sure how to feel about it, but whatever. He doesn't know how to feel about anything that happened in his childhood, so it's not new.
Yeah, this was a distinct lack of Victorian era therapy.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah, he didn't even get vibrated either. It's a travesty.
No.
He could have at least gotten a tiny bit vibrated.
No. He got a decent education and a mismanaged estate. And he's made the best he can of it.
That's right.
Emotionally stunted fiasco.
Oh, boy.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
So then is this when he does the finger on her?
I think
Question mark. She reads him. She reads him.
Because she's reading him Don Juan.
Yes.
Yes. And if any listeners not know the history of Lord Byron,
go
investigate.
Yes.
That fuckery.
Look up that nonsense.
I mean, honestly. And she is doing what I think is super hot, which is out loud reading.
Oh, yeah.
Turns people on.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And you've done audiobooks now. So I'm sure that you know exactly how to slip into this mode. It
is hard to do in front of another person, though. I will say that.
Oh, you're looking at me right now.
No
you're
fucking way.
Right now.
No fucking way.
Read a little bit of Don Juan. Read a little bit of Don Juan in the sexy voice.
The recording studio is a sacred personal place where a narrator goes.
Do the voice. Okay, how about this? Don't do the voice, but do the voice like with something ridiculous, like with your grocery list. Do the voice with your grocery list.
Okay, I'm gonna read the post-its that are on my computer right now.
Love it.
Make Kickstarter webinar. Find photography lightbox. There you go.
I love that you also you can't see this. Get the Patreon so you can see this because she is one shoulder dipped. Her forehead is slightly cocked.
I was already
her
like
fingers
that.
Are delicately on her chin.
They are. I know. They're so delicate, aren't they?
Like a little bird.
Oh. Oh. Okay.
So, yeah. So she seduces him with Don Juan, and then
he makes her come like a freight train.
Hand. Yeah, because she's like, I'm gonna make you out of my hand. He's like, I'd like to see you try.
Yeah.
And then and then there is
there's this constant fingering. Power struggle where he's like, I'm gonna make you beg, and she's like, not before I make you beg. And then he gets really mad because he's like, do not manage me, you will be my lady wife who obeys. And does, who the man of the house is, basically. And she's like, sure, man, orgasm, please, maybe.
And then what I do appreciate is that she's like, when she takes off her top, and I don't know what she's wearing at the moment, but it's a lot, but boobs are out now. And she literally goes, I know that I'm not as big as what you're used to, but maybe if I get real close, you won't notice. Yeah. So basically she's like, force perspective. What we're going to do is stick my nipple into your face
right there.
And then it'll look like I have giant tits.
Yes.
And he's like, all right, let's do that.
He's into
it. And then he's like, well, as long as they're in my face.
Oh yeah.
Smooch.
Yes.
So yeah. So then it's a couple of orgasms.
Yeah.
Yeah. He finger blasts her into space a couple of times.
It's great.
And then
she falls asleep.
She passes
dead
out
to the
immediately.
Fucking world. And like, you put me in a carriage for 2 days straight and then give me 2 cosmic orgasms. I'm sorry. There's only so much a person can take. I need a little napsies, a disco nap.
A little disco nap. There's no Gatorade at this house. God. She needs a little disco nap. Right? She's got to replace her electrolytes in the other way.
In the sleepsies way. And so he's like, I don't know how to get this bitch one-armed into bed. Like, this fucking blows. But also I'm going to do it because, like, she's my lady wife and I care about her or something.
Yeah.
And as they're going up the stairs, she's like, I'm awake. I can walk. And he's like, we're almost there. And you are light as a feather. It doesn't matter. And then he puts her in bed and he goes back to his bed because he is a sleep apart Duke.
Okay. Gross.
What?
It's gross.
It is, right? Gross.
Like, do the sleep apart if you have a snoring problem or a schedule problem. The sleep apart is a perfectly valid way to deal with sleep issues. They do not know if they have sleep issues. He's just being an asshole sleep apart.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And like, I'm sorry, but if you're married to me, I'm gonna need to fart on you once in a while. Like, it just has to happen. That's love. Okay. So like, get your big spoon over here and let me fart on your dick a little bit. Jeez.
Okay. I'm not writing a really inappropriate joke in my head. It is so inappropriate. I'm not even going to say it. It's terrible. It's disgusting. But it involves pink eye. I can't. But I will say that I understand that you're a cuddler by nature.
Yes.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And it's like,
I'm a cuddler until I want you gone.
Yes.
Like that's,
I'm a cuddler until I'm hot.
Yes.
And then the moment I'm hot, I'm like, get the fuck away from me.
You need to be as far away from me as the bed will allow.
Oh, yes.
But I cuddle everyone. Yeah.
So I understand that he's not yet cuddling and it's rude.
I know. Yeah. Okay. So now a bunch of shit happens and it happens in like a week. So can we just rapid fire through it?
Okay. She finds the painting of his mother that hasn't been put in the portrait gallery. She's like, I love it. He's like, she was a whore. And she's like, how fucking dare you? Your mom was in a possible situation. She left you where you would be cared for. Stop being an asshole about your mom. And she's like, and he's like, of course you wouldn't take this and make it romantic. And she's like, you haven't thought about it from her perspective. Be fucking bad. Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. Because she's like, she could have taken you to a place where she didn't know if she had safety or money or anything like that. And you could have died of a fever with her. But no, she left you in the stability of your family home. And yes, it fucking blew, but she really didn't have any other options. So anyway, so that happens. And then he still won't fuck her because he thinks he's going to break her apart into pieces. Yep. So he's like, I'm big mad at you and you're going to stop managing me and you're going to stop trying to Jedi mind trick me into doing shit you want me to do because man gonna sling my dick around until you like it. And she's like, if you're not slinging your dick into me, then like, what the fuck is the point? So he's like, I'm going to go and I'm leaving. I'm going to a wrestling match in a place that's far away with a bunch of broskies. And she promptly puts on her red negligee that she knows is going to blow his mind. And she goes in there and she grabs all the stuff that's in his suitcase and she just starts throwing it on the floor. She's just like, no, you are not abandoning me. You're not gonna just like pull a ripcord on this fucking marriage. We're gonna figure out how to be married before we part ways. Like, we're gonna try. I need you to try. And so she's like, you can go. Let's absolutely. Let's go together. I will go with you. I love her wrestling. Great.
I've always wanted to go. Wanted to go. My brothers would never take me. I'm dying to go to wrestling.
Yeah. And then he's like, you're so hot. Oh no. Look at that negligee that you did specially make for me. It feels a little bit dangerous because you were wearing this color. You literally shot me. Yeah. He's overcome. He does take her to the bed and then they do some sex. Listener.
It's on.
It is good. It's on TM.
Oh, it is very good.
Yeah.
It is. It is the hot. It is the please.
Oh,
it is the sweet Jesus. It is the mon Dieu. It is the all of the things, banging it out. And he's like, turns out I do fit.
Oh, yeah.
Fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That is a one size fits all
that
glove.
only, hurts for a second.
Yeah.
But we'll forgive that. It's still
fine. It's fine.
Yeah. And it is huge orgasm.
Yes.
Yeah. Everybody's happy.
It's so cute because afterwards she starts crying. She's overcome. She's like, this is amazing. That was the best thing ever. And like, I feel so close to you and you're so pretty. And is this the time? I think this is the time when she admits that like she's wanted him from jump, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Exactly.
So it's also very important because he's been like, yeah, she's into it, but she's only into it because of like nerve endings and stuff. And she's like, you silly man, like you're beautiful. And I have wanted to climb you since we met in that Champtois thrift store. And I thought about you doing lover services on me immediately. And she's
like, well, then she says, she's like, you cannot make me do this again. And for a split second, he thinks that she means no more sex. It was too much terrible. And I don't have it. And he is horrified.
Yeah, and he's so worried.
Just devastated. And she says, no. What I mean is, I'm not going to work that hard for it. The next time you're seducing me, I've spent weeks making this happen. And it was fucking awesome. And we are not doing this whole rigmarole every time I want to get laid.
That's right. Yeah. She's like, you're going to seduce me. You're going to show me that I'm desirable.
It was worse than when she had to drag Birdie to the dentist. It was worse than that. That is how it goes.
Oh, I love it.
I love her so much. So he's like, I'll take you to the wrestling.
Yeah, let's go wrestling matches together. And now they're in the honeymoon period where like once they get there, he's like, oh no, I have to take you to an abandoned vicarage to fuck you before we go into wrestle times.
Well, no, they go into wrestle times first though.
Oh, do they?
I think,
I don't know.
don't they? I don't remember. It's not a good fight, and he's pissed because he wanted her first fight to be a good fight. It's a bad fight.
Yeah, he's frustrated.
So then he like drags her out to go bang it out.
Yeah, and she's into it. And then afterwards, there's like this little urchin who is just running around, and he's tripping people, and he's throwing spitballs, and it's not great. And then there's
he's a little ragamuffin.
Yeah. And then there's a lady called Charity Graves, who is a buxom sex worker that did keep his child, thinking that she could, get a living out of him for the rest of her life. And so the kid, this happens in front of Jess. And he's like, we need to get everybody away from Jess as soon as possible. And I think maybe Vautry's there. I think it might be Vautry.
Yeah, Vautry's definitely there. I think, did we skip? We skipped when she gave him the painting.
Which painting? What are you talking about?
She gives him the Madonna, the painting that she found in Paris.
Oh yeah, that was day one. Sorry, everyone. For his birthday.
For his birthday. Yes. We just
so she gives him this icon that's like golden gem encrusted, and they talk about.
Turns out it's beautiful.
It's gorgeous.
They talk about the art.
Yeah,
and he gets the art, and she calls him emotional. Throughout all of this, she has figured out that he's like super hyper emotional. Yeah. And so she's like, you're just high strung. You're like a thoroughbred. You're an Italian nobility. It's fine.
It's fine. And he's like,
but he now has
emotional, high strung. I don't know what she's talking about. But then slowly he's like, oh shit, that might actually be really true. Never did I think about it that way.
So she's broken through. So now they're dealing with this kid that is running around being a complete jerk, and then he grabs him.
And he's like, oh my God, it's the monstrous it that I made with Charity, and it looks just like me, and it's got my nose, and it like he just sees his like hated childhood self, and he's projecting all of that trauma onto this poor child who is the exact same age he was when his mom left. And he can't understand, like he can't divorce in his mind the injustice of being unwanted. Like, you know what I mean? Like he can't put those things together. He's just like, this kind of child cannot be wanted. And I hate it. And I won't.
It's a reminder of everything that he was mistreated for, everything. And he is not having it. Charity has shown up. She's trying to make a scene. It's very Real Housewives. She wants to go talk to Jessica, who's in the carriage. She's getting pulled back. The kid is like realizing that's my dad. He's getting told that's your dad. And he is just a complete mess. And he gets in the carriage, and
because the kid runs away. The kid like kicks him in the shins and runs away or something. Yes. And then he gets in the carriage, and she's like, oh my God, we have to go after that kid. Like, that's your kid. That poor child. That kid was wearing rags. What's happening right now?
He is once again just stunned and horrified, but also like amazed, like the fact that she has immediately figured out what's happened, clocked all of it, and her concern is go get the kid. And he is just like, oh my God, what are you talking about? We're not going to go get that kid.
That kid, I pay for that kid to disappear from my life. I pay monies for that to happen. And she's like, are you fucking kidding me? Like, did you see his mom? His mom was wearing nice clothes. His mom was, just a normal person. And he was this dirty, dressed in rags, poor child who's obviously crying out for help and wants and needs like attention and affection and love. And you're not going to try to fix that? And he's like, no, I never want to see that little gremlin again.
Yeah. And it is very sad because that he's just doing it because, he's emotionally damaged severely. So, and she knows that he's only doing it because he's emotionally damaged. So of course it will not sit here. No. Meanwhile, we are finding out that this is all because Beaumont and Vautry have sort of gone into this pact. Vaughtry's like lost all of his money because he's been gambling it. He blames Dane. Beaumont is feeding him a line of bullshit because Beaumont hates Dane now.
Yes.
It's a whole thing.
Beaumont is the peephole pervert.
He's the peephole pervert who's still pissed. So Vaughtry now thinks that he's in love with Charity, like Charity and him are a thing. And they're going to figure out how to get this painting that they have been told is worth $1 billion.
Yes.
And they want this painting, and the bastard child is part of it. So that's what we find out, that there is a whole thing, all of this.
Yeah. So because Beaumont has like fed him some bullshit, and Vaughtry's falling for it again.
Yeah.
And like Beaumont was the one who was really perpetuating the Dane is besotted by this spinster rumor, which to be fair was true. But like Beaumont has been doing a lot in the background that we've seen, but like, you know, doesn't have a huge impact on the actual couple plot. So, okay. So now they go home and she's like, I'm going to fix this. This is nonsense. I can't do this. And he's like, no, you're going to be my fucking lady wife. I paid to have you be obedient to me no matter what. Yeah. And she's like,
transaction.
Fine. I'll do that for you. And so she just starts treating him like this vapid Stepford wife. She's like, oh, you want to have sex now? Absolutely. Let's have sex. Oh, did you say something?
The sex is still good though. The sex is still good. She's not like just laying there.
No.
Still having the sex, but it's like she's not asking for it. She is very coolly polite. She is just like, whatever, this is what you wanted. And he
keeps on saying increasingly stupid things to try and goad her into acting like herself. And she's like, no. Oh, wow, darling. You think so? I agree. And so it's great because on the page, he's like, I have technically nothing to be mad about, but I hate it. And she knows it
so much. Oh, and he knows, he actually says, I'm losing her.
Yes.
Like he knows that this is it, but he's like, I also will not accept this monstrosity that she calls my son.
Oh God. And like, this poor child, because his mom only had him to get the living. And like, while she's doing this Stepford wife routine, she's also clandestinely finding out as much as she possibly can about this kid and like where he lives. Because it's not
she's
with
done
his
full
mom.
plans. She is full Encyclopedia Brown out there.
She's got John Coachman on side. John Coachman is like, yeah, we'll fix this together. I'll fucking help you. Absolutely.
The kid is running fucking wild around this village, by the way. The kid is just apparently he had basically a nanny.
Yeah.
So Charity was using part of the money she was getting to pay for an actual nanny while she worked. Yeah. Working moms. Yeah. That's how it goes.
Right.
And so
but then the nanny died. She died or something.
Yes.
And then Charity's like, nobody else is going to take him. So like, I guess he's an urchin now.
And remember, 8 in this day and age is like
basically 15.
A modern 17. Like that's what it is. Like that's so she's just letting him run wild. So he is just causing all sorts of fucking act out, spoiled child shit.
He's letting pigs out. He's throwing eggs. Oh yeah.
He's just
all the stuff.
He's the village nightmare.
Yeah. And nobody will tell Dane.
Is that he's a kid. Yes. Nobody will tell Dane because they're terrified of Beelzebub up in the giant house with the 5 towers. By the way, did you know how many towers were on this castle?
So many of them. Oh my God.
That's exhausting to me.
What do you even do with that many? What do you do with one tower?
How do you clean a 5-tower castle?
I know.
No one ever, everybody's like, oh, I want a giant house. And then I was like, bitch, you got to clean that giant house. That's
Yeah.
So,
okay. So now she's like, all right, it's time to put my plan into action because this poor kid needs help. He needs help. And like, I don't care if my husband is into it or not. I can't in good conscience allow this to keep happening. This kid needs stability and love and boundaries and discipline. Like,
yes.
So
he's clearly acting out so that his dad finds him.
Yeah, because she finds out, she follows him, and she finds out that when he runs away from people, he runs into like this gardener's shack or something that's on his dad's property because A, he knows nobody will follow him there. And B, I'm sure there's a piece of him that wants to like, throw up a smoke signal. To his dad.
Yeah.
Yeah. And be like, I'm a person and I don't know. I'm 8. God.
I'm 8. I am 8. And you know what 8 looks like. Sometimes you have to remember how small 8 is. 8 is small. And a malnutritioned 8 is even smaller. And this poor kid is clearly a malnutritioned 8.
Yes.
Right. And so, and he is also not pretty. And when you're not pretty, malnutritioned 8, it's going to be rough. And people are going to be awful. And so she traps him in this basically, in this garden shed.
They catch him.
He's like, bugger you. Blah, 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 curse, insult. And she does exactly what she did to his dad.
Yes.
She starts hugging and kissing him.
Yes.
And kissing his little head and kissing his little grimy neck and kissing his little dirty face. And he's stunned. He's still pissed. He's still yelling.
He doesn't know what to do. And she's like, I don't care about cursing. Curse at me all you want.
Yeah, whatever.
Doesn't matter.
This nonsense. Yeah. And then his mom shows up.
His fucking mom his quote unquote mom shows up and she needs to be hurled into the sun. Sorry.
Yes. So
because
basically
she's immediately like, I know that you want my kid. I mean, I don't want my kid, but I do know that he's leverage over you. So I will let you have my kid if you give me that super spendy icon. And she's like,
yep,
I can't give you the icon. I gave it to Dane. And she's like, you'll figure out a way if you want kid. And then she goes and like hides or something. So apparently the plan is that they're going to meet at like an inn the next day and they're going to do the trade-off icon for kid. But then she goes home and she's like, okay, well, now I have to finally talk to you, you fuck. So here's what's happening.
I gave you time and you failed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I rule though. So unfortunately, because patriarchy and society, I need your fucking help. So here's the situation. I'm not going to give her the icon and I can't steal it from you. And it's nonsense that anybody would ever think I would. So like, you have to go get your son. That's the only thing you can do. It has to happen. And he says like, what does she say? She's like that because like he's stealing from you or something would be unforgivable. And he says, just the only unforgivable thing would be you leaving me. And she goes,
if you leave me, I will kill myself.
Yeah, not healthy. Not healthy.
Be ridiculous, she said. I should never leave you. Really, Dane. I cannot think of where you get such adult ideas.
Yeah. She's like, what? That's what you got from this? You dummy?
I will say that I do understand that if you leave me, I will kill myself. It's a terrible mental health kind of position to take. But it does feel appropriate that he said it while they were on the crashing moors of DC.
Indeed.
Like they were in the very gothic-y, ridiculous, British rocky crevices where people used to like hurl wives off of and stuff.
Oh, so yeah. They're in full Jane Eyre areas.
Scene appropriate.
Yeah, most definitely. Yeah. And so she's like, no, I'm not going to leave you. You're just going to go get your son and we're going to raise your son together. And that's what's fucking happening. And so he's like, okay, I want to keep my wife. And like, she's acting like herself again, which I really like. And so I guess the thing I have to do in order to keep this going is to like get John Coachman, who is a bit of a betrayer, but I get it.
But I get how my wife will make him a betrayer.
Yeah. And so he's like, I'm going to go now. And she's like, what are you talking about? They're not like, we're not meeting till tomorrow morning. And he goes, I know Charity Graves. She's already there. Like, So turns out,
by the way, he's still like talking about his kid. He could not even think about the loathsome thing he'd made with Charity Grace without becoming physically ill. How in Lucifer's name was he to go to it and look at it and talk to it and touch it and take that thing into his keeping? He's still there, y'all. He's still in the emotionally broken place. But then he goes.
Well, okay. So then we switch into Vautry's perspective because he is with Charity. And originally they were going to like do an arson and steal the icon. But then Charity like switched gears and she was like, they want kid. I don't want kid. This is great. Like 2 birds, 1 stone. We'll get it done. So we find out though that Charity is like the worst person in the whole wide world. I'm sorry I'm saying it, because the kid's like, I'll throw up in a carriage. I don't want to go to a carriage. I don't want to go live with my dad. I just want you to be my mom. Mm-hmm. And so her answer to that is to laudanum him into oblivion. And then
like a Puerto Rican grandmother,
I mean,
put in a little rum in the bottle.
Except it's not at all like that. Because she straight up just like drugged the shit out of him. She gave him an adult-sized dose.
She did. My grandmother would never have done that. My grandmother did an appropriate child-size.
That is correct. Yeah, and then she has no idea, because she doesn't know her son. She has no idea that his poor, delicate constitution can't handle it. And so now he's like vomiting everywhere. And Vautry's
so they're in a shitty inn. They're in a shitty inn. The kid has not stopped puking. And it's Vautry and Charity and the kid in one room in this inn. And then they hear a ruckus.
There's a ruckus. There's some heavy footsteps. Huh.
Yep. And literally Charity's like, grab the kid, get out. The kid's worth money. You take the kid, jump out of the window into this hay bale. And Vautry is not into that.
No. He's like,
she bails. No.
Yeah.
So, he's like,
she goes out the back door and he's just like, OMG, I'm panicking. I'm going to leave the sick child in his own sick on the wood floor. And I'm going to jump into the hay pile by myself, which like is ultimately the best choice. But Vautry, that wasn't your line of thinking at all.
Right. At all.
So then Dane comes crashing in because he's about to crack Charity's head open like an egg. And frankly, I don't blame him at this point.
Yeah.
And then he sees this, he calls it like a pile of stinking rags, because he's just like in the fetal position. But it's terrible. So he like picks him up. And all of a sudden, this is the moment in which he becomes a dad. Yeah. Like, it made me cry.
It was so sweet.
So much. I was painting trim. And Michael kept on being like, oh no, there's a smudge here. And I kept on being like, how am I to paint trim through these tears? Okay, Loretta Chase.
Like, it is so incredibly sweet. He's just like, Mama's gone. I'm Papa.
I'm Papa.
And then he proceeds to like, he gets his boots puked on, and you're not really a parent until you get puked on.
Truly.
And then he's like getting bath water, getting broth, just literally scrubbing his kid down. And then she has, by the way, she wanted to go when that was put the kibosh on. She has packed a bag that includes a toy for him. So clothes and such, but also a toy because he might need it. And so he's literally getting this kid back up to health. And he's thinking about what she has told him about thinking about his mom leaving him with people who could care for him.
Yeah.
And how his son, his mother left him to die.
Right.
Sick in this hotel room. And it's just bonding upon healing, upon figuring it out. And he is feeding his kid. He's holding him and feeding him. And everything is just
and he's talking to him like he's a person, like he's doing these adorable negotiations that you do with an 8-year-old to like get in the bath.
Yes.
And he's talking about how, you know, I totally get why you're sick right now because, you know, Papa had an experience just like this. We just can't handle laudanum, you and I. And it's so beautiful. And then at the end, he's like tucking his kid in and he's like, oh my God, I've been using my left arm for the past 3 hours to take care of my kid. Yeah.
A miracle, I say. It's not a miracle. It is the human brain healing itself.
Yes, absolutely.
Yes.
So then he finds out that the coachman, who isn't called John Coachman, it's actually a plot point that like the family loves him so much that they call him Phelps.
He gets a name.
Remember his name.
The family loves him so much he gets his human name.
Yeah.
The bar, she is low.
Yikes.
Okay.
So it turns out that Jess has sent him with like all of her pin money, and she's like, pay off Charity and get her gone. Like she writes her a letter and she's like, here's all the monies. It's, $1,500 is better than nothing. Go to France. They love buxom trollops there. You're going to do great.
You're going to work so much and you're going to have a retirement fund and life is going to be good. And then you're going to have French pastries.
That's
Go.
The one. Yeah. And so Charity's like, great. Thank goodness. However, this is not enough money to share with my lover, Vautry. So I'm going to just go. Bye, Vautry.
Yeah. Which is exactly what he deserves.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Yeah. So, okay. So then he takes him home, and before they get home, there's a fire. OMG.
Yeah. And she's been getting the whole house ready for the new kid, as you do.
Yep.
Right.
Everything's
been going fine.
She set him up a room and she's like, no, we're not using the customary nursery that's 3 miles away from my room. No.
What is that?
What is that?
Wrong with British people?
I don't know.
My God. I mean, it is just, again, every single time I open a historical novel, it's yet another chapter in the Victorian Parenting Guide to Fuckery. It is so bad.
It's so much. So she gets him a room that's only like 2 floors away. Okay.
Like a normal family.
Honestly.
Yeah. So she's doing all of that. And the servants are all blah, blah, blah. And then she sees that there's a fire through a window. She sees that there's a fire. And everybody runs to that fire. She does not, but everybody else has run into that fire to try to put it out. Luckily, it has been raining.
Yeah.
So that's going to help contain it.
Right.
And turns out, idiot Vautry is enacting the fire plan.
Yep.
That was the original plan. And he has stumbled, and you could just imagine how bad he is at all of this, but he finally gets it lit. Now he has to run to the actual house to try to steal the painting, but he gets in there. He gets lost 17 times. He finally finds the bedroom. He finally finds the painting. He finally starts stumbling out. Then he gets lost again, because this is primo genius right here.
Oh yeah.
And who does he run into but Jessica?
And then Jessica sees what's in his hands and she's like, you're not going to get away with my husband's goddamn first birthday present that he's ever gotten in his whole life. And so she throws the fuck down. Jessica beats the absolute tar out of this man in multiple rooms. I mean, and he is like tossing her and she's just coming back like a whirling dervish. Oh my God.
Taking him down like a rodeo calf. And then she is taking his head and she is doing the thing where she is banging his head in rhythm to what she's saying. So she's like, you will not hit, never, absolutely not. And just beating the living crap out of him. And she has lost track of everything except her goal to make him human paste.
Yes.
When she is lifted off of him for her husband is home.
And then she looks over and like the kid and roughly a dozen servants are over there just being like, holy fuck. Oh my God. So then he like takes her to the room and he orders her a bath and stuff. And she's like, oh my God, I just traumatized your child. Like Dominic, I think Damien, I don't remember what his name is. Dominic is like, he must think I'm terrifying. And he's like, actually, you did the best thing you could possibly do, because on the way over here, I was telling him like, my lady wife is nothing to be trifled with. And like, she loves everyone she loves, but like you don't fuck with her. And then the very first impression you give him is you defending the homestead. Like bodily defending the homestead. And he's like, yeah, so you made me out to like, I mean, Jessica, so right all the time.
She's a goddess. Right. And the thing is that I am not that person. I am the person that would be like giving him other stuff. I would be like,
totally.
How about you don't hurt anybody, and I also give you
a
safe full of jewels.
Absolutely.
But you didn't steal any of my jewelry. Let me give you that. Like, totally. I am absolutely the opposite of this. I do not want a physical altercation with said home intruder. I do not. That sounds terrible. But Jess, she's a badass.
She, to be fair, like to you, frankly, if you knew it was, I don't know, I'm going to bleep this, like Matt Weibel, who was sparkling you.
Okay, you know what? When you bleep that, replace it with audio of you saying like Ichabod Crane.
Sure.
Because that's what you meant.
Ichabod Crane.
You met an Ichabod Crane type.
Yeah, like I think you would maybe think about throwing down. I
could take down.
That's what she knew. She was like, Vautry of all people is going to rip me off. Fuck that. And then she just loses her goddamn mind.
Now, meanwhile, this is one of those things where when one half of the couple gets to be over the top and out of control, the other half gets more calm.
Yes.
That's the situation. So Dane is now sitting with Vautry and being like, here's the deal. You got sucked in by Charity. You don't know what you're doing. What the hell? This painting isn't even worth anything. He lies to him about that, which is hilarious. Like, he's just like, what the hell is going on? And then he finds out that this is all Beaumont.
It's all Beaumont
pulling the strings. And he's like, okay, Vautry, I'm going to pay off your debts.
That's right.
And this is what you're going to do. You're going to go marry Charity Grace.
That's right. You're going to shackle yourself to that bitch forever. Yep. Good luck, he says.
And in return, you're going to write a letter to Beaumont. And you are going to tell him everything I'm going to like dictate. I'm going to dictate the letter. And I'm going to make him so upset. And you will thank him for sharing the information about the painting. And then that you are profiting. You're the one who sold the painting and you have it and you're good. And that will make him a crazy person.
Well, especially since he throws in there, like, he actually was going to give it to you for thanks for this thing. And because your wife is an artist who would like that thing. But instead, I did him a solid. And now it's my painting and I'm in the clear. And he's like, oh my God, Beaumont's going to die. And Dane is like, I know, right?
Yeah, let's fuck with him. And I kind of love that this is a reversal of gender roles here, that he's doing the clever backhanded shenanigans and she's the one who just executed brute force upon another person. And I kind of love that that's what we got here.
Yeah, I love it.
Yeah. So
now
we're in the home stretch.
Yeah. So like now he's just like being adorable and he's like, hey, dad stuff is fucking great. Like I'm great with that kid. It's nuts. And so then the kid, they hear him like, so they bang a couple of times and it's also great. But then the kid is like running around, bottomless, totally naked sauce. And he's like, I'm not putting on that crazy thing that you want me to wear. And so he gets him in his arms and he's like, okay, we're going to deal with this like civilized men. Okay. You and me, good men over here. And he puts him in like one of his shirts. And he comes out and he's holding him and he looks at Jess and he's like, this is Papa's shirt. I get to wear Papa's shirt. And it's
so like, cute.
The way that he's talking to him is just perfect. And she's so impressed and so happy. And he's like really thankful that she's not being terrible about the fact that he has a kid outside of their relationship. And like, she's just treating him like her own. And it's beautiful.
And it's and in between this, there's also sex.
Yeah, they bang a bunch. It out. Yeah,
they bang a bunch. She, rides him. I think maybe in the dining room. I can't remember, but yeah. And he's just like, kill me again. And she's like, as ordered, let's do it. And she loves the idea of what he did for Vatri. She loves it. She's pro that. She's rooting for them. She's rooting for Charity and Vatri. And she's basically like, listen, we're going to start our family with an 8-year-old boy. So we are ahead of the game. And also, and then she does a subtle slam on babies that I kind of love, where she's like, one can communicate with children that age. They are very nearly human. And I love that because it's true. I love a toddler, but they are frustrating.
They're just puppies.
They really are.
They puppies.
Really are. They're fun fucking puppies, but puppies nonetheless.
Yeah.
Yeah. And at some point, hold on. At some point, Dominic sees the bed.
Oh, yeah.
So Dominic sees the giant bed. Now, the giant bed is a point of contention for me because it's literally 10 feet square, which is a little out of hand.
Too much.
So, just want to point that out. That is a lot bigger than a bed needs to be. But he's like, oh, did you put a baby inside of her in that bed? Because mom told me that I was put inside of her belly in a giant bed. And literally he's like, I sure did.
I definitely did.
I definitely did. And she's like, pardon? And he goes, girl, you pregnant.
Yeah.
I've been banging with you this whole time. It's been 5 weeks. You knocked up with my baby. And she's like, I can't even like surprise you with that. You got to monitor my shit now.
Right.
And he's like, sorry, but you're totally knocked up. So they're knocked up.
It's really sweet. Really sweet. And then he's like, I'm going to prove my virility to you, because at one point she said that like, he's just so virile and like, it really just hits her right in the id. And, and so he says, I'm going to prove my virility to you over and over repeatedly. His black eyes glinted. I will teach you a lesson you'll never forget. She tangled her fingers in his hair and brought his mouth to hers. My wicked darling, she whispered. I should like to see you try. And that's it.
Yes, and they have lots of little beak-nosed babies who grow up into lots of hot people.
Yeah. I love it.
Yeah. She is such a great heroine. I cannot stand it. It is fantastic.
Yeah. And I love one of the things I really love about this book is that like he's a dumb alpha, you know, like he's an alpha who's never encountered his feelings before, which is its own glorious thing. But she manages to do that with such a low level of angst because Jess is just so level-headed and wonderful. You know, Jess is just like, stop it with the me leaving you thing. Stop it. Nah, that's not what's happening right now.
She's practical. And that is, I stand a practical person. Yes. I am a practical person. It is hard for me when people are like, my feelings. And I'm like, oh, for fuck's sake. So many feelings people have.
So many of them.
And that's fine, but we also need to make a plan. And that is Jess. Jess is like, let's figure it out. And I'm in love with a high-strung, emotional guy, and I got to figure him out and take care of his shit. And I love her.
I know.
I love her so much.
I know.
Yeah.
Oh. Yeah. All right,
so
Tanya,
that's a good book.
Do you have a lady love?
I do.
What's your lady love?
Okay. So my lady love is the Steve Martin movie, Roxanne. Okay.
Ooh.
Let's talk about this for a second, because I thought of it with this book because it is a delightful, sweet rom-com from the 90s, and it's a modern Cyrano de Bergerac.
Oh, that's right.
And so it is a small town. Daryl Hannah is the female lead, and she's, of course, stunning and beautiful and, you know, Roxanne-ish. And Steve Martin is the fire chief for this small town, and his bumbling but much hotter, younger fireman is the one that Roxanne starts dating. And he has a giant nose. Like, they do not just do like a little.
That's
little
right.
Nose.
They do a clownish, like
huge honker.
Pinocchio nose. I remember that.
And it is so sweet. And it's not like hilarious laugh a minute. It is a sweet rom-com. But there's a scene that is a classic scene where he's in the bar and somebody like some asshole just makes fun of his nose, and he's like, oh, a nose joke. That's really, he's like, I know nose jokes, you know shit. And the guy's like, really, he's like, yeah. He goes, here's a dart, throw a dart, and whatever number you hit, I will tell that many nose jokes. And the guy, of course, is good at darts, and he has to tell 25 nose jokes. And it is one of the best comedy scenes of just Steve Martin at the top of his game in a nose joke off with himself. And it is fan-fucking-tastic. And so if you love this book and you love a big nose, amazing hero, this is your Cyrano de Bergerac version that's more modern. So there's my lady love. Go get Roxanne.
Oh my gosh, I love it. Okay, so that has sparked a different lady love for me. I was going to say something else, but now I have to talk about Only Murders in the Building.
Oh, I love it so much.
Oh my God. So it's Steve Martin. It is, why am I blanking on his name? Martin Short.
Yeah.
Thank you. And then Selena Gomez,
who's amazing in it.
I was
How dare she?
Expecting her to be good actress. Yeah. I was not expecting it. It was a revelation.
So you were not familiar with the Gomez au revoir of like Nickelodeon?
No.
She was Nickelodeon, right? I can't remember, but her childhood stuff. Yeah, but no, she's dry as a fucking bone in this and so good.
So good. And I love it because it manages to it makes fun of true crime podcasting.
Yeah.
And it Tina Fey is in it. She's the creator of Serial, basically.
Yes, exactly. She's Sarah Koenig.
That's the one. Oh my God.
It's so good.
It's so good. It's so good. It's campy and delicious and off the wall and still, I don't know, still just dry as a bone, right?
Yeah. And Martin Short and Steve Martin they are now in their late 70s, I want to say.
Yeah.
And they are at the top still of their fucking comedy game.
It's nuts.
They are so funny and so physical and so witty. And it's like watching those two who have been doing comedy together since the 70s just kill it.
I know.
It's awesome. It's so much fun. Yeah, that's a good one.
And a great supporting cast. It's great. So I watched the entirety of season 1 on a plane from New Jersey to Oregon, and it was one of the best decisions I've ever made.
That was a good one. That's good.
That I did.
Yeah. Remind me to give you some TV recs. There's some good stuff out. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. So Tanya, where can they find you?
Oh, you can find me on Twitter at Tanya Mel, TANYAMEL. That's my Twitter. I'm trying to think, what else do I have? If you want to, I'm going to be on Morning Edition on Tuesday. NPR's Morning Edition. Yes. They're telling me it's going to air on Tuesday. It's an interview based off of a piece I wrote for Vox a few months ago on the history of abortion on television, because I'm a TV nerd. And so Morning Edition and I talked yesterday, and it was thrilling. It was truly.
I mean, seriously.
Because it's Morning Edition. It's the show I grew up listening to every day. And it's too much. But they telling me that's going to come out Tuesday. So if you want to look at that or my Vox article, it's pinned on my Twitter.
Awesome. Yeah. Yeah. Her Vox article is stunningly good, listener. So check that out.
Thank you.
All right. So you can find us at all the places at Heaving Bosoms on Twitter, at Heaving_Bosoms. Check out Bonkers Romance, which is my other super fun podcast. And
bonkers it is.
And bonkers it is. Yeah. And now I'm a publisher too. Okay. So check out the Kickstarter because we have brought.
So exciting.
Tanya, I'm overjoyed. It's been so much fun to work on, and we can chat about it after, but it's just been it's you know how they say find things that give you energy pennies or whatever. That's what doing this project, specifically with Jenny and Katie, the three of us together is just we're just this fountain of energy pennies for each other, and it's so fun. Okay. So check out the Kickstarter, and then hi bud. And Tanya,
hi.
I gotta get my blur off.
Oh, hi, sweetheart. How are you?
Put your makeup off.
Why did I put makeup on? Say hi to Auntie Tanya.
Hi.
She put, hi, how are you?
Yay.
Yes.
She just came home from day camp because she's a giant kid who goes to day camp now.
How is she this old?
I don't know.
Oh gosh, she's so pretty.
Dying.
Oh, so cute.
Mwah.
Oh.
All right. So anyway, keep being a badass. Uh-oh.
Did we do it? And love yourself as much as you love wearing revenge clothes.
Yes. Love yourself.
Yeah.
Love yourself as much as you love just putting together the exact outfit for the vengeance occasion.
Yes. That's it.
What?
All right. Bye.
Bye.